Lee Siwen was woken up by a burst of crying. She scratched her head in annoyance, cried out loudly, opened her eyes reluctantly, and then she was dumbfounded. Fuck you, have you been kidnapped? This is a place where birds don't shit. The walls are made of lace. There is a table next to the bed. The table is very crude. A white enamel cup is placed on the table. Half of it was missing, and a few small boards were stuffed to cushion it. Lee Siwen lifted the quilt and was shocked when she saw the quilt. The quilt was even more outrageous. It was all white and rotten with a few small holes. The quilt had more than a dozen patches of various sizes and it felt a little hard. It's been covered for a long time. Looking at the shoes and the army green canvas bag hanging on the wall, Lee Siwen knew that this was the 1970s and 1980s in her novels, even if she had never experienced it before. Mrs. Lee outside the door heard the movement in the room and stopped crying and howling and hit her son next to her angrily. Shut up. Li Laosen touched his head, but he didn't speak. The whole time his mother was crying, the sound was deafening, but he nodded obediently. The third child. Is there any sound in the room? Old Man Li also came back and asked the third son who was beside him. It seems that there is. Li Laosen said suspiciously, and then Ishi rushed into the room. Siwen, you're all right. Do you know that you're going to scare me to death, my dear Siwen? Let Dad see if you're okay. Li Laosen was overjoyed when she saw that she was all right, and went up to touch her quickly. The girl's head is no longer hot. Li Siwen saw that a group of people had a headache, and a wave of memories flooded into her mind immediately. Only then did she know that she was dressed in the 1980s, when she could not get enough food and clothing. The original name of is also Lee Siwen. She is 18 years old this year. Rural girls get married early, usually at the age of 17 or 18. Lee Siwen's grandparents are also discussing her marriage recently. The marriage was decided from a young age. Now the man is 21 years old, and the woman is 18. The two men who have negotiated well are going to break off the marriage. It was said that it was an arranged marriage and that there was no relationship. Breaking off the marriage had a great impact on the reputation of the woman. When she went out just once, she saw the man with a little girl. The original body couldn't stand the blow immediately, and he jumped into the river when he couldn't think of it. Fortunately, the man is a sensible person. Seeing her jumping into the river and ignoring the obstacles of the woman beside him, the original body was rescued. It was spring, but the weather was a little cold, and the original owner was still fluttering in the river to prevent them from being rescued, so the two of them stayed in the river for a long time, and they developed a high fever after they went ashore. Luckily, Lee Siwen crossed over after him. Mrs. Lee looked at her granddaughter in a daze, and she felt a chill in her heart. Could it be that she was stupid? This is not good. How could such a smart granddaughter of her own be so stupid? Siwen, do you know who I am? Milk, you are my grandma. What's the matter? Lee Siwen approached and said while looking at the family. The one closest to him is Lee Siwen's grandmother, the head of the family. Of course, the last one is the second head of the family. Old Man Lee is also Lee Siwen's grandfather. Old Man Lee was standing at the back at the moment, but he was not worried at all. Although Lee Siwen's father was the third child, Lee Siwen was the eldest among his grandchildren. Lee's family is not doing well. All the nearby villages know that Lee's family is poor, and no girl is willing to marry in. Therefore, it is very difficult for the sons of the Lee family to marry a daughter-in-law. But Li Laosan is different. Li Laosan is good-looking and glib. He falls in love with Lee Siwen's mother Yueing freely. Therefore, Lee Siwen is the first child of her grandchildren. The two elders of the Lee family do not prioritize sons over daughters, and they dote on the first grandchild of their favorite son. Another reason is that this girl Lee Siwen is very capable. This girl has a lot of strength since she was young. She can lift a cow with her bare hands, and she is a leader in work. Because of this girl's great strength, the Old Man Lee's family can be described as a mixed bag in the village. No one dared to bully her. Even if anyone was unconvinced, they had to weigh Lee Siwen's great strength. Siwen, it's fine if you're fine. Do you know that you're going to frighten your mother to death? I'm just a caring granddaughter, like you. If something happens to you, I won't live. Madame Lee said, wiping the corners of her eyes. Tears. She is really uncomfortable. This girl likes to follow her since she was a child, and the relationship between the two is also deep and tight. This girl was in a coma for a day and a night. She went to the doctor, and they said it was fine, but she was still awake and turned her around in a hurry. Lee Siwon saw the sincerity of the people in front of her, and her heart suddenly warmed. Her parents divorced since she was a child. Because she was a girl, her grandparents preferred sons to daughters, and she was not close to herself. Her parents also had their own families. She was like an orphan who was kicked over and over. She could see that the few people in front of her cared deeply about her. "Grandma, I'm fine. You see I'm not fine now." Lee Siwon helped Mrs. Lee to the table next to her, pulled out a stool, and helped her sit down. Old Man Lee stood by and lit a cigarette. He just took a puff and quickly put it out. The granddaughter was still not feeling well, and the smell of cigarettes would definitely be uncomfortable. "Siwon, let me tell you, that boy from the Shao family is not a good one. He will pull him down if he doesn't want to. Grandpa will find you a better one." "That's right. It's his loss for that kid to lose our Siwon. My daughter is so good. The man who will marry in the future will definitely be 100 times stronger than him." Lee Xingwen sat on the side, waiting for himself to find a chance to teach this kid a good lesson.
Lee Siwon nudda.
She was not familiar with the Shao family, let alone the fiancé. It would be even better to break up the engagement. She wanted to have a sweet relationship, not to arrange a marriage as soon as they came up. "Marry. Grandma, since Big Brother Shao wants to break off the marriage, let's break it, but it's not him, but our family to find them." In this era, if a woman breaks off the marriage, it will have a great impact, let alone the husband's breakup of the marriage. If she wants to retire by herself, she can save a little bit of reputation. Mrs. Lee looked at her granddaughter suspiciously. She was enlightened once she died. Didn't this girl refuse to agree with her before? Until she bumped into the Shao family boy and other women in a private meeting, she jumped into the river, without thinking. "I just woke up and agreed to break off the marriage. I just wanted to understand it, or I was holding it back in my heart." "Really, Siwon, if you really can't let that kid go, I'll tell his mother. I don't believe that their family can ruin this engagement. This engagement was made when Mr. Shao was here, and it can't be Shao. The old man just left for a few years, and they refused to admit it." "Damn, I let it go. The twisted melon is not sweet. Even if I do marry him, it will be me who will suffer in the future. It is better to end it early. I want to understand. I want to find someone who really likes me. Like this, he will treat me well." Lee Siwon squatted beside Mrs. Lee and said seriously with her head on her lap, "Okay, if you want to understand it, I will go to Shao's house with your grandfather at noon and cancel the marriage." After Mrs. Lee said, she glanced at her granddaughter again, and seeing that she was not at all uncomfortable, she immediately, "I was very relieved, and I began to urgently want to get rid of the marriage." Thinking of what the Shao family looked like when she broke off the marriage, she was so angry that her granddaughter liked this kid, and she didn't dare to say it too badly, because she was afraid that her granddaughter would be embarrassed by him. Then it will be her turn to humiliate that kid. At the same time, in the Shao family on the other side, Shao Qishuan opened his eyes in a daze and saw the earth wall above. He was stunned for a moment and soon laughed at himself. He probably went to hell, but this environment is a bit bad. Cough, cough, cough. Shao Qishuan suddenly tightened his throat, covered his mouth and coughed a few times. Then he sat up with his palms up and took a closer look at the surrounding environment. He was stunned with just one glance. This environment, it was so familiar to him, as if it was the house he used to be in his hometown. He got out of bed suspiciously and was stunned when he looked at the calendar beside the table. Isn't this when he was 20 years old? What's the matter? You are dreaming. Could it be that he died and wanted to go back to his hometown again? Shao Qishuan couldn't help laughing at himself when he thought of what he had encountered in his life. He was so young and died young. He had always been tough, so why did he suddenly contract a terminal illness, and all the property in his name suddenly disappeared? He never understood who could have transferred all his property in such a short time when he was ill. There is also the woman Yang Min, who abandoned her after she was sick and had no money, and his relatives also learned that she had no money and needed a huge amount of money to see a doctor. Take care of yourself until you die. Qi Xian, wake up, hurry up and drink the medicine. Mother Xiao walked in with a bowl of medicine. Seeing that her son woke up without a trace of excitement, she put down the medicine with a trace of disappointment and left the house. Xiao Qishuan was overjoyed, as was his mother at that time. She was disappointed with herself, and she was reborn. He squeezed his arm inconceivably, and the pain struck instantly. He was reborn. Xiao Qishuan picked up the medicine in front of the table and sighed directly. The bitter taste came in his mouth, and he quickly took a few sips of water to suppress the bitter taste. Walking out of the house, Xiao Qishuan ran directly into the kitchen, and when he saw the eggs in the kitchen, he picked them all up in the basket, looked around in the kitchen again, and saw a piece of pork. He grabbed it and ran out. Mom, look at what my brother's going to do. He took all the meat and eggs from our house. Xiao Qiaoying ran into the kitchen and saw that the egg bowl was empty and the pork hanging on the side was gone, and she was in a hurry.
徒弟,
That was the pork that her family had been waiting for more than a month. Why did the third brother take it all away? Hou Yuexia heard this and rushed into the kitchen. Seeing that the eggs and meat were gone, she scolded angrily. Xiao Qishuan, you bastard, I saved those eggs for your sister-in-law to eat when she gave birth. Yes. When she chased out, Xiao Qishuan disappeared, and Hou Yuexia shivered angrily. This stinky boy must be looking for that again with something. I don't know what's so good about that bitch. Every day, I just wanted to trick your brother into giving her something good. When Xiao Qiaoying heard this, her face was full of resentment. How good is my sister Siwen? My brother doesn't know how to cherish it, but I like that fox, who pretends to be all day. My brother is really a fool. Look at it. In the future, I have my brother's good fruit to eat. She was so angry when she mentioned that Humeizi. When there was no such woman, she still had her own share of delicious food at home. Since that Humeizi hooked up with her third brother, don't talk about her own things in the family. Even the little one. The nephew doesn't have any. Asked her to tell her that her parents were still partial to the third brother. If they beat him early, it would still happen. To put it bluntly, they were used to it. But she didn't dare to say this. If she said that her parents were allowed to scold her, she would be scorned by her third brother. Mom, I'll go out and see if Sister Siwen is awake. The third brother is awake, and Sister Siwen must be awake. She wants to go to Sister Siwen to complain, so she quickly agrees to the third brother to retire. Marriage. The third brother is not worthy of Sister Siwen. Alas, the second brother really got married early, or he would have married Sister Siwen. Hou Yuexia nodded, and the girl was probably awake. Wait, we still have some big white rabbit candy in the house. You can give it to Siwen. She's afraid she won't be able to take the medicine. Xiao Qiaoying followed Hou Yuexia to the back room and took 5 or 6 white rabbit toffee to Li's house. She couldn't help but eat one halfway along the way. As soon as she ate it, there was a sweet, milky fragrance in her mouth. Xiao Qiaoying arrived at Li's house happily eating candy, and seeing that there were only 5 candies left in her hand, she embarrassed and went into the yard. Third brother, why are you here? Xiao Qiaoying exclaimed, and she was even more shocked when she saw the things on the table beside her. The third brother gave it to Sister Siwen, not to Humeizi. Is not normal. Not normal. The third brother is too abnormal. Xiao Qiaoying stared at her third brother suspiciously for a long time. Xiao Qishuan rolled his eyes at her and said, What are you doing here? I'll come to see Sister Siwen. After Xiao Qiaoying finished speaking, she went to Li Siwen's room. Looking at the third brother who was blocked outside, she couldn't help laughing. She deserved it. Sister Siwen, you're awake. Now, the big white rabbit my mother asked me to bring you. She's afraid that you'll be too bitter to take medicine, so it won't be bitter after taking this. Xiao Qiaoying swallowed and handed the toffee to her. Siwen's eyes were full of reluctance. Li Siwen looked at her reluctant appearance and wanted to laugh inexplicably. This reluctance look was too cute. This white rabbit candy will not be a rarity in the future. It can't be compared to now. There were many kinds of candies at that time. Okay, look at you like that. Keep it for yourself, I won't eat it. Li Siwen pushed the candy to her again. She didn't like this big white rabbit candy, and it was wasted even if it was given to herself. Xiao Qiaoying thought she was reluctant to eat it and was immediately moved, but she also knew that Sister Siwen was ill now, and she was drinking medicine and eating some sugar to melt the bitterness. Sister Siwen, I don't want you to eat it. It's not bitter for you to drink medicine. Li Siwen knew that it was impossible not to take it. She took 3 toffee from her hand and held it in her palm. The rest is yours. I'd better have one more than you. Xiao Qiaoying nodded and did not continue to give in. Xiao Qishuan hurried around in the yard, but Grandma Li didn't let him in. This made him embarrassed. He was pitiful beside Grandma Li. He was a scumbag, and he took the girl's heart. But if she still likes herself, she will marry her, and if she doesn't want him, he will protect her well until she gets married. Grandma, let me see Siwen. I used to be ignorant. It was all my fault. Please forgive me. Grandma Li's wrinkled face remained unmoved and continued to wash her clothes. Grandma, I'll help you wash your clothes. You can sit and rest well. I'll do this kind of rough work. Xiao Qishuan directly reached out to get the clothes. Grandma Li didn't let him help. She moved the basin with her arms and Xiao Qishuan threw herself into the air. Looking at Grandma Li, who moved to the side, he ran over again, and this time he grabbed the clothes directly. Before he was happy to get the clothes, Grandma Li took a wooden ruler, and it was a ruler when he directly touched his hand. Hi, Xiao Qishuan took a deep breath, and there was a red mark on his hand. Mrs. Li continued to wash her clothes without raising her head. Who is her granddaughter? He wants it if he wants it, or not if he doesn't want it. It's too late to regret it now. Xiao Qishuan frowned in pain and knew what Grandma Li meant in his heart. If she didn't suffer a little, she wouldn't forgive herself, and asking him to say he deserved it would break their hearts like that. Grandma, if you don't let me wash it, I won't wash it. I'll chop wood, chop wood. Xiao Qishuan looked at the large block of wood leaning against the kitchen and walked over, picked up the machete, and started working. Anyway, he made up his mind. In this life, the relationship between the two families cannot be made as rigid as in the previous life. Grandma Li looked up at him and smiled a little, then lowered her head and continued to do the laundry. The clothes were washed and hung on the rope. Grandma Li checked that it was getting late, got up, and went to the kitchen to prepare lunch. This year, the village of Kaichun started to implement the division of fields to households. Each household has its own land. Except for the harvest, the rest is owned by the household. As soon as this policy came out, some people were happy and others were worried. Those who were diligent were happy, and those who worked with them all day long and were lazy, not to mention more happy. Those who are lazy and don't like to work are considered bitter. They used to be able to eat enough after a day's work, but now they don't serve crops seriously, so they wait for hunger. Li has a large family. Grandma Li gave birth to 4 children, 3 sons and 1 daughter. There are 5 grandchildren and daughters-in-law, and there are 13 people in the family, not including married daughters. As soon as Grandma Li entered the kitchen, Xiao Qishuan hurriedly followed with eggs and meat on the table, poked her head into the kitchen, and looked at Grandma Li with a smile. Milk, let's fry the pork. Siwen just woke up after falling into the river and is very weak. I fried to make up for her body. And this egg. Cook one for her a day, and I'll bring it back when I don't have it. Grandma Li snorted coldly. Let it go. I don't know if I feel sorry for my granddaughter, so you don't need to worry about it. Xiao Qishuan scratched his head and didn't dare to talk back when he saw this, and ran to the firewood stack and continued to chop wood. As soon as lunch was ready, Old Man Li came back with his sons, daughters-in-law, and eldest grandson just in time, followed by a few children hiding behind them, not daring to show their heads. Taking advantage of Mrs. Li's inattentiveness, Li Yonghao took his younger brother and sister to the house and found some clean clothes and threw them to his younger brother and sister. Yongtian, this is the last time. Next time you dare to take a few of them to jump into the mud pit, I don't care about you. Just wait for the milk to beat you. Li Yongtian changed his dirty clothes, stuck his tongue out at Li Yonghao, and ran out of the house. Li Yongxin and Li Yonggan also ran out. Li Yonghao watched the few people who ran away helplessly pick up the dirty clothes on the ground, and swore in his heart that this was the last time to help these stinky boys. Old Man Li entered the yard and felt that the person chopping wood looked familiar, and it was not until Xiao Qishuan turned his head and called to him that he could see who it was. Li Laosan was angry and picked up a wooden stick and smashed it on him. "Okay, you stinky boy, you dare to come to my house. Look at how you harmed my daughter. I have to replace it today. Your father taught you a good lesson." Xiao Qishuan didn't dare to dodge when he saw the flying stick, hoping that hitting him would relieve some of the third uncle's anger towards him. How could Mrs. Li accept this kid's wishes? She quickly pulled Xiao Qishuan to avoid the stick. Her granddaughter has suffered a lot. During those days, she washed her face with tears every day, and she felt distressed when she saw it. If this kid wanted to take a bite, he would forgive him without even thinking about it. He has to pay back the pain his granddaughter suffered. Xiao Qishuan took a few steps back without being hit. His eyes were a little sad. He missed a good opportunity, but he was not discouraged. Looking at Li Laosan Xiao Qishuan's flattering expression, "Uncle San, you are back. You are exhausted after a day's work. You are thirsty. I will bring you some tea." Xiao Qishuan went to the main room after he finished speaking. He spent most of his childhood in Li's house and was very familiar with the things in his house. He took a thermos and a few cups to the yard, and he poured a glass of water for him. Old Man Li looked a little unnatural when he took the water, gave him a strange look, and drank the water. Boss Li didn't care much. He just thought that this kid was a little bit conscientious. Seeing that Siwen was injured for him, he could come to see her. On the other hand, the second daughter-in-law of Li had a sharp nose and asked Mrs. Li, "Mom, the meat is fried at noon. Where did we get the meat from?" This year, the land is divided and the work points are not implemented, but the tickets are still used. Where do you get the meat tickets? Even if you can't buy meat at home, regardless of the meat ticket, how expensive the meat is, it's not easy to fill your stomach with your own conditions. In this day and age, every household can't get enough to eat, and it's even rarer to eat something like meat. Mrs. Li glared at her. "Ruru, you only think about the meat. That meat was given to Siwen by Qi Xian, so don't even think about it." Lu Chuanmei was not unhappy when she heard it. It's okay to eat some mincemeat. Besides, Siwen's character, she wouldn't eat this meat alone, and she would share it with her family, so she wouldn't eat it alone. "I have nothing to talk about with my mother-in-law." "Oh, that's all for Siwen. She's been weak these days, so she needs to make up for it." After saying this, Lu Chuanmei looked at Xiao Qishuan. "Oh, it's hard for Qi Xian to still think about my Siwen, and Siwen's kindness to you in the past is not in vain, but Qi Xian, since you want to be with Yang Manuel, then don't come to my Siwen." That's right, Siwen finally agreed to break off the marriage. "If you come to my house, Siwen will be reluctant."
Fukyu followed suit.
The crying of Siwen's girl a few days ago made her feel bad. Xiao Qishuan looked hostile. "Eldest daughter-in-law, shut up if you can't speak." Mrs. Li looked at the eldest daughter-in-law's belly full of anger. What is it that he would not give up after visiting Siwen several times? How good he is, Siwen not uncommon. Fu Qiu watched his second sibling wink at him and immediately knew what was going on, and when he saw Xiao Qishuan, he started chasing people. "You hurry up, or my Siwen will be mad at you." She finally figured it out this time. "And see you again. You must not pick up the guy and hit you." When Yuing saw that they were not talking, she looked at Xiao Qishuan and said, "Xiao Qishuan, you bastard. Get out of here. I'm so good to you, a white-eyed wolf. I've hurt my daughter so badly. I just want to pass up, let go of your spring and autumn dreams." "That's right, my daughter-in-law. You have used it well in this spring and autumn dream, and you will grow." Li Laosan looked at his daughter-in-law and flattered. Yuing looked at Xiao Qishuan for a while, and seeing that he didn't move, she directly picked up the broom by the wall. "You don't leave yet. Wait for me to drive you away." Xiao Qishuan saw that they were all hostile to him and knew that it was not appropriate to stay here for a long time, but Siwen agreed to break off the marriage, which was great. He had always been Siwen just like his own sister, and he really had no relationship between men and women. Now it's better to be able to understand. Xiao Qiaoying was lying by the window watching the excitement, and when she heard the third brother's voice, she glanced at Siwen. "Sister Siwen, I'll go back first. Don't worry, I won't recognize Yang Min as my sister-in-law." Li Siwen was indifferent to Hemin and didn't like Xiao Qishuan very much, so she nodded to Xiao Qiaoying and told her to walk slowly. Xiao Qiaoying just went out, and Mrs. Li stopped her. In the morning, Xiao Qishuan brought a lot of meat, at least 2 kilograms. This meat is not easy to buy. She guessed that Xiao Qishuan must have brought all the meat in the house. Qiaoying, take this bowl of meat back to eat. Xiao Qiaoying wasn't polite to her either. The two families were used to it, but although she hated the third brother's recent actions, she still didn't forget to say something nice for him. Well, then I'm welcome. The meat that my mother just bought was not warm in the kitchen, so my third brother used it to nourish Siwen's sister. Fortunately, he has a conscience to remember my sister Siwen. If I gave it to that fox, my mother would be to death. After hearing this, Grandma Li was more convinced that Xiao Qishuan had brought all the meat from the house, and the original dislike was a little lighter. This kid has always liked him very much. He takes care of the children at home and is very filial to her grandma. Even if such a thing happens suddenly, she will be mad at her. But it's good that the child can realize the mistake, but he still has to suffer a little more or he won't grow his memory. But it is one thing for her to want this kid to marry her granddaughter, and it is another matter whether her granddaughter wants to marry or not. She will definitely follow her granddaughter's will. Grandma, Grandpa, Uncle, I'm leaving. Xiao Qiaoying greeted everyone and left with a flat bowl of meat. As soon as the two of them left the Lu family, they couldn't help but ran to the kitchen, lifted the lid of the pot, and took a sharp breath, and a burst of aroma suddenly hit the nostrils. Grandma Li entered the kitchen and saw that Lu Shi was very disgusted. She bumped her to the side and started to take a bowl to serve the vegetables. She took out the meat and put it in a bowl and put all the rest of the vegetables into the vegetable bowl. What are you doing? Don't hurry up and eat. If you don't want to eat it, don't eat it. Grandma Li brought the food to the yard and saw that Lu Shi was still following behind the meat buttocks. Mr. Lu quickly shook his head. I'll eat, and serve it now. It's not okay to not feed yourself, and you must not starve yourself to death. The food was brought up, and Mrs. Li asked the big guys to do it. She picked up the spoon and gave Mr. Li a bowl of half-thick rice, followed by several sons. After several men in the family had finished serving, she continued to feed herself and the rest. The weight of the daughter-in-law and her are the same, and the eldest grandson of the family also goes to work in the field and eats the same amount of food as the men in the family. The other grandsons and granddaughters have the same amount, but the eldest granddaughter has a different amount, and a large pot is directly used to fill a full pot. Li Siwen was stunned when she saw the food in front of her. She looked at everyone's food in disbelief and then looked at her own. As her mind gradually recalled, she understood the original owner's appetite. She felt incredible, touched her stomach, and looked at this shriveled body. She didn't look like someone who could eat so much. Siwen, why don't you eat it? Grandma Li looked at her granddaughter worriedly, whether it was unpalatable or something. Li Siwen instantly recovered and shook her head at her. It's okay. After saying this, she picked up her chopsticks and was about to eat. At the same time, she found that there was a bowl of fried pork beside her rice bowl. She turned to look at the others and found that everyone was eating fried cabbage, which was different from her own. Mrs. Lu kept staring at her, and when she saw her looking at everyone, she knew what this girl was doing. She hurriedly stretched out the bowl and smiled, just a little less. Grandma Li got angry when she looked at her hee-hee and directly hit her wrist with a chopstick. Come on, Les. I'm so greedy for you. You don't know that my eldest granddaughter is sick. This is Qi Xian to make up her body. You, the second aunt, are too embarrassed to grab food from your niece. What's wrong with me? It's Siwen who wants to give me meat. It's not that I don't want to brush off this girl's kindness. Besides, Siwen is so filial to our elders. It's not like you don't know, Mother. Why do you blame me? Lu said aggrievedly, is it easy for her? She doesn't want to eat meat. It's okay not to give too much, just one piece to satisfy your cravings. You're not allowed to eat. Usually this girl just needs to be filial to you. Now she is sick, and you still rob her. Grandma Li's mouth was instantly stuffed with a piece of meat, and she didn't have time to finish her words. Milk, I can't finish eating all this meat. How can I be so weak if I have a fever? We have all shared this meat. You have to eat it too. You are not allowed to say whether you will eat it or not. Siwon pouted. She coquettishly said to Grandma Lee. When did Grandma Lee ever see her granddaughter like this? This girl is as savage as a wild boy on weekdays, but now she is too cute to act coquettishly. Is this like a girl? Shing shing shing, everyone eats and eats. As soon as he finished speaking, a few pairs of chopsticks were picked up rudely, and one of them consciously picked up one of the chopsticks, and half a bowl of meat was left in an instant. Oh, don't pinch. You've all finished it for my eldest granddaughter. Grandma Lee saw the sharp meat flatten instantly, and her heart ached. Lee Siwon didn't care. She ate too much pork before. It wasn't a rarity. Milk, you can eat it too. I won't eat it. If you eat it, Grandma will eat it. Grandma Lee quickly blocked the bowl and refused to take the meat. Siwon had no choice but to sell her cuteness again. She found that her grandmother couldn't stand her coquetry. Sure enough, Grandma Lee couldn't straighten her tongue when she acted like a spoiled child. Taking advantage of this time, Siwon directly stuffed a few more pieces of meat into her mouth. Grandma Lee looked at her granddaughter and smiled helplessly. This girl is filial. She always thinks of others when she has good things. The key is that she is very capable. Who doesn't like such a granddaughter? Siwon distributed some meat to the big guy and started eating while holding the big pot. Halfway through eating, she suddenly realized that most of the food in her pot had gone down. She touched her stomach and couldn't help but be very curious. So how can a thin person eat so much, and she still doesn't feel that she can eat more? After eating, Grandma Lee started to clean up the dishes, and everyone else dispersed. Now the weather is getting warmer, the sun is hot at noon, and everyone is ready to rest before going to the ground. Siwon followed and ran into the kitchen to help Grandma Lee clean up the dishes, but was kicked out by Grandma Lee and asked her to rest in the house. She sat down at the table when she got back to the house and touched the bracelet on her hand. She was a little surprised. Isn't this the bracelet she had in the original world? Why is it still in her hand now? This bracelet was given to me by an old man when I was a child after my mom and dad divorced, and when I was playing outside and crying, it could bring me good luck and keep me safe. But what is this security guard? Before enjoying a few good days, I got myself to this place where the bird doesn't shit. As soon as she thought that she had crossed over, she quickly glanced at the bracelet again. Could it be a portable space? Don't people have space for crossing, so would she have it too? She quickly grabbed the bracelet and held her breath as she shouted nervously, I want to go in. I want to go in. I want to go in. A dizziness rose, and when she opened her eyes again, she found that she was not in the original room, and all she could see was a large supermarket. Every shelf is full of various things, including food, useful, and various department stores. Wow, is anyone there? Siwon glanced left and right, walked around the shelves here, and found that there was no one, and shouted a few words to the inside. She didn't hear anyone answering. She suddenly wanted to jump up excitedly. Great, such a big supermarket is her own. This is even more surprising than winning 100 million in the lottery. It's like a pie in the sky. Looking at the shelves full of food, she drooled instantly. Looking at the various small cakes on the shelf, she swallowed and continued to look forward. What melon seeds, peanuts, pistachios, all kinds of nuts. I just grabbed a handful of peanuts. After all, everyone in the village planted this stuff, and it wouldn't be suspicious if I took it out. She ate a few peanuts and put the rest in her pocket. Then she grabbed it twice, but when she tried to grab it again, her fingers bounced and she didn't catch anything. Siwon didn't believe in evil. She tried again, but she still couldn't catch it. What's the thing? I can't take it because I can't see it. Or is there a limit to the number of times I can take it every day? She turned around and ran towards the other deli areas, reaching for the roast duck she was fancying. As soon as her finger reached it, she was bounced before she could catch the roast duck. She tried several times in a row and found that she still couldn't get it. She had to wait for tomorrow. It seems that the things here can be obtained 3 times a day. Couldn't take anything else. Siwon glanced greedily. She left the space in despair, and then she became happy again. She could take it 3 times. It was better than no space. Took the peanut Miss Siwon and pulled it up in the room. When she found a box, she put all the peanuts in the box. Fortunately, she picked up these peanuts, or else she got a bag of oil. Looking at the box full of peanuts, Siwon took out some and chewed them in her mouth. It was fragrant and delicious. "Sister, can I go in?" Lee Siyu shouted from the door. Several brothers ran out. It was really boring to keep her at home. When she thought of eldest sister at home, she thought of coming to eldest sister. Siwon heard the sound and walked to the door of the house, took off the stick attached to the door, looked at the person who came, and asked with a smile, "Why did you come to me? Where are your brothers?" "I don't know, they sneaked out and didn't take me to play. When my mother comes back, I will tell my mother that my brother won't take me to play." Lee Siyu pouted and looked aggrieved. Thinking of eldest sister closing the door during the day, Lee Siyu sniffed hard. "Eldest sister, what are you doing with the door locked during the day? Are you stealing something delicious?" Your nose is really smart." Siwon pinched her little face. "This girl has a dog's nose." Siyu was pinched by her. He smiled, and the brothers also felt that she had a good nose and could smell where the food was every time. "You wait for me to get you some, but don't tell anyone else, or I won't give it to you," Siwon warned her. Siyu nodded quickly. She didn't say it. She definitely didn't say it. She didn't have to eat it if she said it. Siwon saw that she promised to give her a handful of peanuts. "Peanuts!" Siwon shouted in surprise, looking at the peanuts in her sister's hand. "All the peanuts at home were kept for grinding oil, but my sister still had some." "Eldest sister, you secretly hid peanuts and blew them up?" Siyu said in shock. "Come on." Siwon secretly rejoiced. She doesn't need to lie to herself. This little girl has finished making excuses for herself. So don't talk nonsense about this, otherwise Nien, and you don't know how to deal with me," Siwon said, intimidating Siyu. Lee Siyu nodded quickly after hearing this, and didn't forget to take a few glances outside the door. Seeing that no one was there, she quickly fastened the door. "Sister, don't worry, I will definitely not let you get scolded." Took over the peanuts, and Siyu put a few grains into his mouth. It was delicious, fragrant and crispy with a hint of spiciness. Lee Siyu ate a few peanuts and put the rest in his pocket. Such delicious peanuts should be kept and eaten slowly. Lee Siwon didn't understand her movements, but she didn't speak either. On the other side of the Xiao family, Mother Xiao looked at the bowl of meat brought back by her daughter and was very curious. "Where did you come from? And where did your brother take the meat?" Xiao Qiaoying put the meat on the table and looked at Mother Xiao with a smile. "Mom, guess where my brother went with the meat and eggs?" "Where did you go?" Mother Xiao rolled her eyes and asked, "Who can I give? This kid is thinking about the vixen." "Go and give me Sister Siwon," Xiao Qiaoying said with a smile. As soon as these words came out, Mother Xiao's eyes widened instantly. It was incredible. This kid figured it out and understood Siwon. "Qi Xian, tell your mother, do you really want to be with that vixen?" Xiao's mother took Cici to test. If this kid is really with that girl Yang Min, she will not have the son. That girl, there is not a good family in that family, and it cannot be contaminated. Xiao Qiaoying also looked at the third brother curiously, eager to know the third brother's choice. "Mom, I suddenly found out that Yang Min is not very good, but Siwon, you know, I have always regarded her as my sister. Just like Qiaoying, I will persuade Siwon. If she insists on marrying me, let's talk about it." Xiao Qishuan said in a heavy tone. Anyway, Yang Min, he saw clearly, and he was extremely disappointed with her. "Really, you didn't bluff, Mom?" Xiao's mother didn't believe it, and put her hand on her son's head. "The boy's head is not hot. It's all right." Xiao Qiaoying was very surprised. "Mom, eldest brother definitely doesn't like Yang Min anymore. Otherwise, why would he take good things and not give them to Yang Min? This is not like his style. He must really know that he is wrong." Mother Xiao nodded suspiciously. "I hope this kid really doesn't like Yang Min anymore. As for Siwon, can feelings be cultivated slowly? Okay, clean up and call your milk to eat." Mother Xiao was too lazy to doubt. It would be fine if her son really repented. Xiao Qishuan looked at his mother helplessly. Anyway, he wouldn't believe what he said now, so he would do it for them himself. Anyway, he has a lot of time now. On the contrary, Wang Jingli pinched her own man and muttered in a low voice, "Look at how biased my mother is. So much meat is given to others, and she is still blindly happy when she comes back. So much meat is saved for us. It took me a long time to buy a meat ticket. Xiao Qiyuan felt a pain in his waist and quickly held his daughter-in-law's hand. What are you talking about? Siwen is not sick, and besides, it's our family's fault to eat some meat. Before the two of us got married, I didn't have good things and took them to your house. At that time, I didn't miss out on improving the food for your family. Wang Jingli didn't expect the man to say this, and gave him another pinch in anger. Mother Xiao looked at the eldest daughter-in-law's little actions and didn't bother to care about her. The little family was very angry, and she didn't know what the boss liked about her. She was thinking about how to calculate the family. Chen Jinghua went to the kitchen to start serving the food. Xiao Qiaoying followed to help. Wang Jingli saw that her second siblings and sister-in-law were busy. She was immediately embarrassed and went to the kitchen as well. Before she got to the kitchen, she glanced at a slender figure at the door. She looked like she was watching the show. Yo, isn't that girl Yang Min? What are you doing standing in front of her house? Hou Yuexia hurriedly stretched her head to look at the gate. She was annoyed when she saw the appearance of the person who came and looked at her third son angrily. Qi Xian, why is she looking for you?
I'm upset.
Xiao's father Xiao Gui also frowned when he heard the words, looking at his son and wondering how he would deal with this matter. If he really doesn't like Yang Min, he should break up with her quickly. Xiao Qishuan nodded. He originally planned to find Yang Min to clarify the matter, but she didn't expect her to come to him. That's just right. Yang Min stood at the door and didn't dare to go in. Hou Yuexia rejected her very much. The last time she came to look for brother Qi Xian, she was directly blasted out by Hou Yuexia with a broom, which scared her into a shadow. She stood outside the door, but stared at the movement in the yard. When she saw Xiao Qishuan approaching, she was instantly overjoyed. Brother Qi Xian, you're out. I'm looking for you today for something urgent. After Yang Min finished speaking, she lowered her head uneasily and waited for Xiao Qishuan to speak, but after waiting for a long time, there was no sound. She became anxious and looked up at Xiao Qishuan, only to find that Xiao Qishuan didn't look at her at all, but was thinking about something. Generally, brother Qi Xian. Yang Min spoke again. Xiao Qishuan snapped back to his senses, looked at Yang Min, and pointed to the big tree in front of him. Yang Min, I have something to tell you today. You can tell me over here. Yang Min followed closely behind him and stopped when he could not see Xiao's yard beside the big tree. Brother Qi Xian, what's the matter with you? Yang Min was nervous and excited when she asked this. Brother Qi Xian might not have persuaded Hou Yuexia to marry her, but her face became more than 2 words when she thought about it. Wipe the blush. Xiao Qishuan was annoyed when she saw her shy appearance. This woman used to put on a show. Since she liked herself so much, why did she leave without a word when she was down, and later she got married quickly? Yang Min, let's break up. We are not suitable. I suddenly found out that I don't like you. After Xiao Qishuan finished speaking, he turned to leave, not giving Yang Min a chance to refute. However, Yang Min's face turned pale with disbelief. She quickly caught up with Xiao Qishuan, reached out and grabbed Xiao Qishuan. Brother Qishuan, did my aunt not let you stay with me? I'll go and ask my aunt. I'm going to beg her. Don't you separate from me, okay? Yang Min said, sobbing with pear blossoms and rain, and looked at Xiao Qishuan with a hint of softness in his eyes. But Xiao Qishuan only has hatred for her now, and that flirtatious touch is of no use to him. Yang Min, I made it very clear I don't like you, and I won't marry you, so save your heart. After Xiao Qishuan said this, he threw away Yang Min's hand and went home without looking back. When he reached the door, he thought of something and turned his head. Oh, by the way, I have given you a lot of things, and those things should be treated as I'll give you a breakup fee. Yang Min's eyes were immediately reddened by these words, and she stared at Xiao Qishuan's back. She couldn't lose brother Qi Xian. Only brother Qi Xian could get rid of that family in her life. And the whole village is a few miles away from home, so Qi Xian brother is educated and handsome, and the family life is good. Is all that Li Siwen? She must have threatened brother Qi Xian with death. Otherwise brother Qi Xian would not have broken up with him. After thinking about who made the demon, Yongmin went straight to Li's house with anger. When she arrived at the door of Li's house, Yongmin put away her anger and looked at the people standing next to the crowd watching the excitement. She directly changed a pitiful posture, and after a long time, she shouted towards the Li's yard. Sister Siwen, not at home. When Grandma Li heard the sound, her whole body trembled, and she ran out angrily with a broom. Looking at the person at the gate, she slapped it rudely. You shameless fox! You dare to come to my house the door, I won't kill you. A vulgar girl who loves to hook up with people. This bitch, her own Siwen treats her so well, treats her like a real sister, and shares all the delicious food with her. She has no friends, so Siwen introduced her friends to her. But she is good. He directly pried the man of his good granddaughter. She gets angry when she thinks of this. Yongmin was also scared to death and quickly dodged the broom in Grandma Li's hand. Who are these people? It's really incompetent to hit someone with a broom if they disagree. Grandma Li, I'm looking for Siwen. I know I'm sorry for her, but there's nothing I can do about the relationship. Brother Qi Xian likes me, not Siwen. I can't control it either. You can't blame me for this. Yongmin scurried around with her head in her hands. Zhuing, that's not what the little girl said. Your granddaughter can't look down on men. How can you blame Yongmin?
Haha.
The pleats on the top were all squeezed together, and she was very happy to see Li Zhuing deflated. She and Li Zhuing are mortal enemies. They look at each other and don't like each other. Isn't it because they have a girl who married into the city? There is nothing to show off, and that Li Siwen, relying on her own strength, does not put her elders in the eyes. She deserves a man not to, and she will be an old girl in this life. You shameless old man, if you have the ability, you can say it again, and I won't tear your mouth. Grandma Li rolled up her sleeves and rushed toward Xiaohong, grabbing Xiaohong's hair, and it was a meal. Xiaohong is not a vegetarian either. She frowned when her hair hurt when Grandma Li pinched her, and then she scratched her back, directly pinching the flesh on Grandma Li's arm. The two of them tore everything and screamed in pain, but neither of them was willing to let go first. You let go first. I don't, you let go. Li Siwen heard the movement in the yard, and when she walked to the gate, she saw someone would come to wake her up, so she left the space after dealing with the hen, tidied up the bed, and left the house. Grandma Li saw her granddaughter get up and looked at her with a smile. Siwen, are you hungry? My milk boiled 2 eggs for you today. Hurry up and eat together. Now the policy is not as strict as it used to be, and ordinary people can raise chickens at home. She held a litter of chickens in the spring of this year. The hens have grown up and started to lay eggs one after another in the past few days. She saved some and cooked 2 for her granddaughter every day. It happened that Qi Xian delivered a lot yesterday, and she kept the rest to go to the market to exchange some things. Li Siwen listened to her grandmother's words, smiled, and rolled her eyes. The original grandmother was really kind to her, but she would also take care of her family instead of the original. Milk, why are you kissing me like that? Hey, what you said, you are the good granddaughter of the milk, who will not kiss you. Grandma Li listened to her granddaughter's words and smiled. I have to be filial to my grandma in the future, and I will definitely not let you down on your kindness to me. Li Siwen's mouth was like wiping honey, making the old lady elated. But this is what she really meant. When I got to the kitchen and lifted the lid of the pot, I saw a pot of steaming porridge, a bowl of fried cabbage and scrambled eggs next to it, and a separate egg in the pot. Carrying the food, Li Siwen went to the yard and peeled off the egg skin to reveal the round egg inside. She broke half of it and took it to Grandma Li's mouth. Milk, you can eat it too. Grandma Li shied away for a long time and finally took a bite. Li Siwen saw that she had taken a bite, and she didn't give in any more, and she wouldn't let her grandma eat it again. She held a pot of porridge and finished the meal after a while. She patted her belly, and she was still very curious. How could such a thin person eat so much? And she didn't know where to eat. Took the tableware and chopsticks to the kitchen and washed them. Li Siwen was going to go to the back mountain. Otherwise, I would be sorry for the 3 meals a day. The Li family has a good harvest, and everyone is capable, but they still eat 70% of their fullness every day. Most of the reason is because of the original owner's appetite. If she eats a little less, then the whole family can fill their stomachs. Grandma, I'm going to the mountain. My health is all right. You made me feel uncomfortable at home. If I go to the mountain, maybe I can get a few guys to improve the food. Lee Siwon said while watching her grandmother winking. After hearing this, Grandma Lee stepped forward and patted her granddaughter's head. She really didn't burn. She knew the girl's temper, but she didn't stop her. Well, you are not allowed to go into the deep mountains. When you get lost, no one can find you. Yeah, I know, Grandma, then I'll go. Lee Siwon waved at Grandma and went out with a large machete behind her back. Be careful. Grandma Lee was worried and explained again. Lee Siwon waved at her, and she disappeared without a trace. Yongmin ran out early this morning, guarding Lee Siwon on the sidewalk. She still didn't believe she wasn't going out today. As long as she goes out, she stops her by herself. Isn't she the favorite to pretend to be kind? Since she is so kind, she will tell the Xiao family what's wrong. If she doesn't say it, she will expose her little thought by herself. All kindness is fake. Yongmin thought gloatingly. She and Lee Siwon had a good time, and after a long time, she naturally forgot about Lee Siwon's past and also forgot Lee Siwon's great strength. Lee Siwon, stop for me. Yongmin looked at the person who passed by and didn't even glance at her, and angrily stepped forward and grabbed her arm. Before she could get angry, Yongmin was attacked by a burst of force. The whole person was like a wild horse and was directly thrown out, rolling on the ground for several times before stopping. Cough, cough, cough. Yongmin Gun just turned his mouth to the ground when he stopped and just ate a mouthful of dirt. Yongmin spit out the dirt in her mouth and looked at Lee Siwon with fear in her eyes. She had just been too reckless, and Lee Siwon's great strength was so evil that she even forgot about it. You don't come here. Yongmin said fearfully. Lee Siwon smiled at her, revealing 6 big white teeth. You let me go, then bye-bye. After saying this, Lee Siwon left without looking back. Yongmin looked at her back and slammed the ground a few times, then got up helplessly. Lee Siwon went to the mountain quickly without Yongmin's interruption. When she got to the mountain, she was discouraged. She said that there are many good things on the mountain. Except for the many weeds on the mountain, she has not encountered anything that can be eaten for a long time. It is estimated that they were lost by the villagers. Also, these days of not having enough to eat are very uncomfortable. These people will definitely find ways to find food. Isn't this mountain a place where they often come? Lee Siwon found a tree to lean against and rested for a while, then continued to walk into the mountains. There is no such thing, as she does not believe that there is none. No matter how brave the villagers are, they will definitely not dare to go deep into the mountains. But Lee Siwon is not afraid, just saying that she is not afraid of brute force, not to mention that there is still a space. If there is a big thing attacking her, she will directly enter the space. She is simply fearless. Lee Siwon continued to walk inside. The more weeds he walked, the more weeds he saw. At the same time, he could also see some wild vegetables and wild fruit trees. Are there some animals' calls? And even a hare ran over with a rub. Looking at the hare running away, Lee Siwon suddenly became energetic and continued to walk inside. The more inside, the more good things, especially the mushrooms. Looking at the mushrooms on the ground, Lee Siwon regretted not taking the shovel and started digging up the mushrooms directly. After digging up a small half basket of mushrooms, Lee Siwon patted the soil on her hand and continued to walk forward. Lee Siwon walked and observed, and she found a wild boar. Before she could make a move, she ran past another one, which looked like a pair of wild boars. Looking at the pair of wild boars, Lee Siwon's teeth were itching with jealousy. In her last life, she was about to turn 30, and she had no partner. All day long, she was disliked by a bunch of her friends as a single dog. She recognizes this time travel without a target, and she recognizes it when she is abandoned. This wild boar also shows her affection to herself, which is unbearable. Lee Siwon charged towards the wild boar aggressively, and the wild boar also felt the intruder, so he directly shook his huge body and arched towards Lee Siwon. Looking at the wild boar, Lee Siwon instinctively raised her fists and threw Yongmin away today. She wanted to test how strong she was. But she was afraid that her strength would not be able to beat the wild boar, so she directly used 100% of her strength to fight with all her strength. A burst of dust flew up. Li Siwen waved the diffuse dust with her hand, and saw that the wild boar was punched by her and directly pushed out a big hole, and the wild boar was half in the hole. Its head was directly cut off, and its head tilted. Dead up. The other wild boar seemed to sense his wife's death, and rushed over angrily. Li Siwen raised his fist again, and the wild boar fell to the ground. Looking at the two wild boars on the ground, Li Siwen wiped the blood on her hands. Come on, keep that hen to eat. These two wild boars will be enough to eat for a long time. Looking at the two wild boars on the ground, Li Siwen directly pulled a pig's leg with one hand and dragged it down the mountain. Oh, Siwen, you hit two wild boars. It's amazing. An ant praised her with envy when she saw the two wild boars in her hands, but she was even more afraid of Li Siwen. This Li family can really give birth. How could such a powerful girl be born? Well, I just happened to see two wild boars. If you want to provoke me, you will kill them with one punch. Li Siwen said and looked at Yang Min, who was huddled in the crowd. Yang Min was shocked when she saw it. Why did it sound like she said it to herself? Other people who had a holiday with the Li family before also shivered involuntarily. This Li family can't be provoked. This girl is so awesome. Sister Siwen, you're amazing. Xiao Qiaoying ran over excitedly and couldn't help admiring the wild boar being pulled by Li Siwen. She pulled it with her hands, but she couldn't pull it. Even a pig's leg she could lift. It took a lot of effort, and I don't know how Sister Siwen pulled the two wild boars down the mountain. Xiao Qishuan also walked over at this time, looked at Li Siwen and said with a smile, I'll help you. Li Siwen rolled his eyes at him and lost a pig's leg. Seeing this, Xiao Qishuan hurried to pull the wild boar's leg, but the wild boar did not move for a long time. A burst of laughter burst from the crowd. Qi Xian, what can you do with your energy? You can compare with Siwen. After getting married, you can't be pressed under your body and can't move. Ha ha ha. Everyone laughed out loud at Yan Lizi's words. Yang Min even blushed. Brother Qi Xian is his own, and he is about to break off the marriage with Li Siwen. Yan Lizi dared to say that. Before Yang Min could speak, Xiao Qishuan opened his mouth and looked at Yan Lizi angrily. Isn't this ruining Siwen's reputation? Brother Lizi, you can't talk nonsense. Just do it, I won't talk nonsense. It's not a matter of time. Yan Lizi said with a smile. Xiao Qishuan wanted to say that they would break off the marriage after hearing this, but he was afraid that Siwen couldn't think about it, so he turned to look at Li Siwen. Li Siwen said directly to Yan Lizi, Brother Lizi, Brother Qi Xian, and I have broken off our marriage. I think everyone doesn't know about this. Today I will tell you this, I hope you don't spread the word. After saying this, he ignored the crowd pulling the wild boar and walked home. Yan Lizi was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled, turned around and ran away. Before leaving, he did not forget to say, Village Chief, Siwen's family has made so much meat. Don't forget the people in the village. Now that meat is so precious. Why is it? You have to stay close to the villagers first. These words reminded the ants in the village that this meat is not only hard to come across, but also a rare meat ticket. This Siwen family will definitely not be able to eat so much meat, and they will not be able to sell it to the supply and marketing cooperative in the county town. At that time, the supply and marketing cooperative raised the price and sold it to them. Village Chief, can we sell the meat they can't finish to the people in our village? An ant asked. Others also asked. That's right, who doesn't sell this to? It's a lot of trouble to sell it to the county seat. It's better to sell it to our own people. One by one, the discussions began. The village chief looked at the crowd. Quiet, quiet. I'll discuss this with the Li family later, and then you wait for my notice. Okay. The big guys responded one after another, and it's not uncommon for the village chief to come forward. The big guy said it when he saw the matter, and they all dispersed back. No one in the crowd saw that Yang Min was full of viciousness on his face when Yan Lizi and Xiao Qishuan were talking. She will never break up with Xiao Qishuan anyway. Milk, milk, my sister has beaten two wild boars. Li Yonggan shouted excitedly, taking small steps. His eyes were full of light. How much meat would such a big wild boar eat? Grandma Li ran out after hearing this, and then her eyes widened. Siwen, you're going to the deep mountains. Boss, second child, third child, you all hurry up and come out to me. Carry this wild boar back, and try to be lazy one by one. Li Xingmao, Li Xinghua, and Li Xingwen hurried to the gate, and their eyes widened when they saw the two big wild boars at the gate. This was caught by Siwen. Oops, my daughter is amazing, just like me. Li Xingwen said shyly. Grandma Li rolled his eyes at him and said nothing. Hurry up and bring the wild boar back. Li Xingmao lifted a wild boar leg, and Li Xinghua and Li Xingwen also came to help. Siwen, come over and let the milk see if you're injured. Grandma Li hurried to Li Siwen's side, looked around her, and was relieved when she saw that everything was fine. Immediately, she was a happy one. Seeing the two big wild boars, she began to think about how to eat them. They would keep some, and then give some to her own mother's house, and then give some to her daughter-in-law's mother's house. The rest will be sold at that time. It should not be sold for a few $100s. This is not a small amount. This year will definitely have a good year. Grandma Li felt that her idea was okay, so she talked to the old man beside her. Old man Li nodded with satisfaction. All right, let's ask the village chief to see if the meat is available to the villagers. If you want, you can sell it to the villagers at a low price, which is considered a favor. Yes, but that's not the case. It's too expensive to go to the supply and marketing cooperative to buy meat, and we need meat tickets. We sell them at a low price, and they won't be too happy. Lu said excitedly. His mind was full of himself. I can bring meat back to my mother's house. That mother's family is not allowed to make offerings of themselves as uncles. This is not a festival but a New Year's. How can you make meat, but you give it to them for nothing? The more he thought about Lu Shi, the happier he was, and when he ran to Siwen, he smiled and smiled at her. Second uncle, what's wrong with you? Your face is cramping? Li Siwen was taken aback by her appearance. What is she trying to do? Bah, you stinky girl. Why are you still scolding me, your second aunt? I'm thankful for your smile, and I'm cramping. What eyes, hum? Lu Shi rolled his knees and ran away again. Look at the wild boar. Mom, did my second aunt twitch just now? Li Siwen turned to ask Yuing next to her. Yuing smiled helplessly. This girl still had to fight with her second uncle. But it's not just a twitch. Well, it's still my mother's good eyes, just like me. Li Siwen took Yu Ying's arm and said affectionately, it's better to have a mother, and say that she is right. Not waiting for the Li family to find the village chief, the village chief brought a few sons to the Li family's house and saw the old village chief, Li, walking over with a smile. Brother Li, this Siwen from your family is really powerful, and he hit two wild boars at once. Xiao Qingde walked over and kicked the wild boar on the ground. This head is really not small, at least 400 kilograms per head. Old man Li saw the village chief coming and pulled a stool for him. I was thinking of asking you to discuss whether the villagers want meat, so you came. Xiao Qingde took the stool and sat down. Yes, this meat is so hard to buy. Will they not want it? I was asked by the villagers to ask you if you can sell this meat, and if so, what price do you plan to sell it? The pork in the supply and marketing cooperative is 1 jin and 1 yuan, and I also need a meat ticket. I don't want a meat ticket for this pork. If I want it, it is only 1 yuan per pound. We are all from the same village, and I don't want much. Old man Li looked at him. Said. As soon as these words came out, the village chief immediately smiled. He knew the conditions of the people in the village very well, and they were not rich people. He thought that Big Brother Li would not increase the meat ticket by a few cents, but he did not expect it to be reduced by 2 cents. People can't be happy. Okay, Big Brother Li, on behalf of the people in the village, I would like to express my thanks to you. The village chief said to his son, the eldest and the second go to help Brother Xingmao and the others kill pigs together, and the third go to inform the villagers. Let them come to your Uncle Li's house with the money to buy meat. Okay. Xiao Ziyuan responded and ran to the village to call for people. Xiao Jijie and Xiao Jimin rolled up their sleeves and started to help kill pigs. The village chief sat aside and looked at the two big wild boars.
It was an envy.
Why did his son have no ability to give birth to such a powerful girl? Old Man Li couldn't see the sour look in the village chief's eyes and raised his brows. Alas, my old Li too has no luck in this life. I am old, and I have enjoyed the blessing of my granddaughter, and I am also my old Li too. Amazing! Gave birth to a good son, and got a good granddaughter. When he heard this, the village chief immediately became jealous. It was sour, but there was nothing he could do. The family members were really capable. Can't compare. Brother Li, you are really amazing, the village chief said perfunctorily. Brother Li, Brother Xiao, you are all here. Grandpa Xiao watched the two of them walk in slowly and was supported by his grandson Xiao Qishuan with his wife, Grandma Xiao. Grandpa Li, Grandpa the village chief. Xiao Qishuan greeted them one by one. The village chief saw Xiao Baohe came and quickly stood up and helped him into his seat. Brother Xiao is here too. On the other hand, Old Man Li saw Xiao Baohe twist his head, his back turned to him. Brother Li is still mad at me, Xiao Baohe said in a gentle tone. How dare I be mad at you? I feel worthless for my granddaughter. The man who has been in love with him for more than 10 years is a heartbreaker. Old Man Li got angry when he mentioned this, and he didn't even want to look at the Xiao family. Xiao Baohe felt guilty when he heard this. Originally, his father had arranged a marriage for the two children at that time, thinking that the relationship between the two families would be closer. Grandpa Li, I'm sorry. I have treated Siwen as my sister since I was a child. If she still likes me now, I am willing to marry her. Xiao Qishuan knelt on the ground and said, even if he got married, he would treat her as his sister. As long as she doesn't do stupid things. Hey, you kid, get up for me quickly. Don't think it's enough for you to apologize and kneel down. I can't control this matter. You have to ask Siwen to say, if she forgives you, then forgive you. If she doesn't forgive, then it's going to be all right. Old Man Li quickly pulled Xiao Qishuan up. He saw that his granddaughter had changed a lot in the past few days. He probably really wanted to understand. He didn't want to tie his granddaughter because of the marriage contract. While forcing him to listen to his granddaughter, if she is still willing to be nice to this kid, then he agrees. If not, then he also supports his granddaughter. Xiao Qishuan got up and looked at Grandpa Li gratefully and knew that they were still very good to him, but he was too ignorant in his previous life. Xiao Qi saw Li Xingwen, who was busy, and ran over. Third uncle, I will help you. Go, 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 go. You dare to come to my house. Li Xingwen was so angry when he saw that he almost slashed Xiao Qishuan on the head with a kitchen knife. Li Xingmao hurried over and pulled a hand, and Xiao Qishuan withdrew from the pig-killing crowd in fear. Xiao Qishuan withdrew from the crowd and did not sit still. Watching the pigs that were cleaned up go into the water, he took them all into a large basin. This stuff is a good thing. It tastes delicious when you clean it up. He was a great cook in his last life. In his last life, he was fortunate to meet an old man who followed him to learn cooking skills. He learned a superb cooking skill. Because of his delicious cooking, he opened more than a dozen restaurants, not only in the towns and counties, but also in the urban areas. Family. But as soon as the business started, he also got busy, so when he learned that he was ill, he immediately became terminally ill. Not to mention other things, just say that his cooking skills are very good. He had to show a hand to the big guy today. Pig intestines are the most delicious, but also the most disgusting. Xiao Qishuan took the pig intestines and shrunk to a corner, squeezed out the dirt in the pig intestines little by little, and then washed them a few times before putting them back in the big intestines. In the basin. Siwen, do you like to eat pig intestines? Xiao Qishuan watched Li Siwen pass by and shouted directly. Siwen did not despise him in the past life and took care of him in front of him, and he will treat her well in this life. You just like to eat large intestines. The smelly large intestines are all feces. You can keep them and eat them yourself. Li Siyu got angry when Brother Qi Xian asked her sister if she wanted to eat large intestines. Who doesn't know that stuff is difficult? I was so hungry that I even asked my sister, isn't this a disgusting sister? Sure enough, men don't have a good thing. What her mother said was too right. Large intestines? Li Siwen was interested. What stir-fried fat intestines, braised fat intestines, baked buns, and pig intestines all came to mind. She couldn't help swallowing her saliva. In fact, she didn't have much hostility towards Xiao Qishuan. The person is quite good. He had persuaded the original owner to tell him that he didn't like her, but the original owner could not get out of this relationship. He even ran to seek death. Coming. Hey, can you do it? Yes, I definitely will, and it's very delicious. Xiao Qishuan suddenly became interested, and the two got together because of the food and started chatting. Come on. My sister still likes brother Qi Xian, and even talked about the smelly large intestine in order to chat with brother Qi Xian. Li Xiu glanced at the two of them speechlessly, then turned and ran away. Is there any liquor? Xiao Qishuan looked at her and asked. Li Siwen thought about it and nodded, ran to Old Man Li's room, and snuck away the half bottle of wine. With the wine, Xiao Qishuan began to clean the large intestine. Put the large intestine into the basin, add water, and wash it several times. Add some white wine to the water, and after washing the smooth surface, turn the intestines over and insert one end into the intestines to remove the fat. After the film, put the large intestine in a basin, add a little salt and white vinegar to wash it for about 10 minutes, and finally rinse it with water. Li Siwen is a foodie. Her only hobby in her past life was eating. When she was happy, she would eat a big meal. When she was sad, she would eat a big meal alone. So she likes food and can't like it anymore. The thin soup and water at Li's house these days will make her vomit. Although there are food in the space, they are all semi-finished products, or else they are ready-made cold food. Although she likes to eat, she is not very good at cooking. Looking at the man in front of him who is seriously washing his large intestine, Li Siwen didn't feel disgusted. On the contrary, he was not so repelled by him. Pork liver, pig lung, pig heart, pig stomach. Xiao Qishuan also washed them all together. Entering the kitchen, Xiao Qishuan searched for spices, washed some peppers and chopped onions, ginger, and garlic, and put them aside for later use. Li Siwen lit the fire, and Xiao Qishuan was ready, washed the pot, and put it on the fire. After the pot is hot, pour the oil into it, sauté the and garlic until fragrant, pour in the green and red peppers, a little cooking wine and salt, and stir-fry for a while, then pour in the pig intestines. Stir-fry for a while, then pour an appropriate amount of soy sauce and a little sugar, stir-fry evenly, sprinkle with scallions and stir-fry for a while until it is even. After lifting the lid of the pot for a while, the aroma wafted out. Xiao Qishuan quickly took a pair of chopsticks, took a piece of pig intestines, put it to Li Siwen's mouth and blew a few mouthfuls. How about you taste? Li Siwen is also welcome. The fragrance is so strong that she swallowed her saliva when she smelled it. She opened her mouth and ate the large intestine in one bite. Well, it's delicious, so delicious. Li Siwen praised while chewing, without the fishy smell of pig's large intestine. It is fat but not greasy, and chewy. Yo, what is this made of? It's so delicious. Old Man Li couldn't help but go into the kitchen. Like Li Siwen, he is a glutton. He likes to eat delicious food without any hobbies. Live ran over. Just happened to see Xiao Qishuan feeding his granddaughter with a pair of chopsticks. Old Man Li didn't even look at it. This kid is a reincarnation of a vixen. Master, why did you come in? This is Qi. This is the stir-fried large intestine made by brother Qi Xian, and it is delicious. Li Siwen said, picked up the large intestine, took a pair of chopsticks, and handed it to Old Man Li. Master, try it, it's delicious. Old Man Li looked at the oily large intestine, took a piece of the large intestine with chopsticks, just a few seconds into his mouth. Old Man Li's eyes lit up, not to mention it was delicious. Hey, this stinky thing is not bad to eat. I just took it out for me to get some guys to taste. After saying that, Old Man Li took a plate of large intestines and slipped out. Master, I haven't eaten yet. Li Siwen felt unhappy when she saw that her large intestine was gone. Xiao Qishuan saw that she was leaving, so he directly grabbed her wrist. Siwen, there are more here. When did you stay? Li Siwen asked curiously when she turned around and saw another dish of large intestines. Xiao Qishuan raised his eyebrows and didn't speak. He knew that this large intestine would be taken away. Grandpa Li didn't have any hobbies. Looking at the person in front of him, Xiao Qishuan became more and more interested. Not only did he help him out of gratitude in his previous life, but he found that she and he understood something a little different. Maybe because the memory is too long. The 2 wild boars outside the yard have been cut into several pieces and hung in the yard. All the people standing outside the yard are people who want to buy meat. Mrs. Li did the math, and she definitely wanted to eat it at home, leaving a pork thigh and another pork to dry and eat slowly. I sent a pig leg to my mother's family, some pork, and a pig leg to the 3rd daughter-in-law's family. After all, this is a wild boar that Siwen fought, and the eldest daughter-in-law and the 2nd daughter-in-law didn't dare to disapprove of giving her a pig's leg to her mother-in-law. The remaining one was sent to the niece in the county town, and the rest was pork for the eldest daughter-in-law and the 2nd daughter-in-law's house, and the rest were all sold. All stand in line, and by one. Brotherly said that they are all sold in one village, and they are cheap, no meat tickets for $1 a pound. The village chief said with a loud voice. The underground people lined up to applaud. Okay, thank you, Uncle Li. Thank you, Uncle Li. Everyone thanked them. But there are always a few voices that don't fit in the group. Che, it's good from a village, and a villager wants money, so I think about how to take advantage of it. If we don't buy it, it can't be ruined. Can't earn it. That's not it. It's a good deal when it's cheap. Sisterly, don't buy it, if your family suffers a loss first. You have also seen the village chief. It's not that I won't sell it to her, it's that people think it's a loss. Old Man Li listened to the fire. He was not easy to bully. With a temperament, he spoke directly to the big guy. Today, whoever wants to buy it can buy it. If you feel that you have lost money, get out of here. I won't sell it to you. Old man, what are you arguing with those who are greedy for petty cheapness? Hurry up and calm down. Mrs. Li saw that her wife was angry. She walked over and patted him on the back to comfort him. Li Yi lost his face when he said this, stared at Old Man Li with his round eyes angrily, and pulled his daughter-in-law to go back. Let's go, we're not rare anymore. I just don't eat meat and don't buy them. Mom, what are we going to eat if you don't buy it? If you go to the supply and marketing cooperative, you can't even ask for a meat ticket. It's still a few cents more expensive. Yi Qing, the 3rd daughter-in-law, said in a hurry. The eldest daughter-in-law gave her brother and sister a blank look. What do you know? Look at the amount of meat in Old Man Li's yard. You don't know the conditions of the people in our village. You can kill one person to buy 2 pounds to satisfy your cravings, and you can't keep the rest for yourself. Can they finish it? I won't be able to eat it all, and there will be dozens of kilograms left. They will take it to the supply and marketing cooperative to sell it. I definitely won't. It will definitely be processed and sold by then. That's right, the eldest daughter-in-law is still smart. Li Yi smiled and looked at the eldest daughter-in-law, which saved some money. Yi Qing looked at the words of the two and muttered silently in his heart. Everyone has been offended by you, and they sold them cheaply to you, which is really beautiful. Li Yi took his eldest daughter-in-law to go home slowly. Yi Qing followed behind the two of them, and when they got home, Yi Qing found an opportunity to sneak out again. The two of them were waiting for that good opportunity, but she didn't dare to wait. It is better to buy it earlier and eat it in your mouth. The village chief in the courtyard of the Li family started to weigh the meat. Village chief, I have a lot of family, and I want 5 pounds. Yan Lizi took out 5 pieces of $1 and handed it directly to Li Siwen, then ran to the village chief's side. The village chief saw that he had paid him money, and he cut the meat neatly. He directly cut a piece of fat and thin pork belly and gave it to Yan Lizi. The rest of the people also began to give money to take meat. Those who were better off suddenly asked for more than 10 pounds, and they were going to take some for their relatives and some to eat by themselves, but the family members also asked for more than 10 pounds. A lot of meat was almost divided in a short time. Yi Qing frowned in disgust at the last bit of meat left, a pile of thin meat that couldn't get out any oil or water. Yi Qing, if you don't want me to have it. The village chief was angry when he saw Yi Qing's reluctance. Money can't buy it. Yes, why not? The village chief, will give me 3 kilograms of fat. I don't have much oil at home. This fat meat can not only produce oil, but also taste delicious. It doesn't taste good. The village chief, under the command of Yi Qing, had cut enough pork for her, so he took the money and rushed Yi Qing to leave. Li Siwen looked at the money piled beside her and grinned happily. Grandma Li walked over and nodded her forehead. Why didn't I find out that you are so crazy about money before? Isn't it the chance to see so much money before? Li Siwen grinned and said, putting the money in a pile of face value. 5 piles in total. 1 hair, 2 hair, and 50 hair, 1 piece, 2 pieces. How much? Yuing couldn't help but ask when she saw her daughter stop counting the money. A total of 350 yuan. Li Siwen said in surprise with the money. She didn't expect so much, because all the meat sold to the villagers was left, and the bones were left. I didn't expect to sell so much. When Mrs. Li heard so much money, she quickly locked the door of the house, looking at the money in Li Siwen's hand with excitement. Li Siwen was pushed by Yuing and immediately gave the money to Mrs. Li. Daughter, you take this money and treat it as your granddaughter's filial piety. Old lady Li took the money with a smile, took out 100 yuan from it and gave it to Yuing and another 50 to Li Siwen. The third daughter-in-law, you know the rules of our family. You have to hand over the money you earn, but no one is as powerful as Siwen, who has earned so much in one fell swoop, so I will secretly give you 100 in Siwen. 150, but don't talk nonsense about this. Dare to say that I can't get around you. Yuing took the money and couldn't tell the difference between east, west, and north, so she nodded hurriedly. Mom, don't worry, I won't tell anyone. This is the first time she has touched so much money, a full 100 yuan, and her man can't earn 50 yuan for a year of work in the field. Oops. This is like a dream. Siwen, look at your mother. You can't help but take the money. Mrs. Li looked at the third daughter-in-law with disgust. It was like she had never seen money before. What a shame. Yuing hurriedly covered the money in her hand when she heard this, and looked at the two of them cautiously. Mom, this is what you gave to me, and it's mine if you give it. Mom, put it away and go out naturally. My mother secretly gave us money, with 2 aunties on her back. You can't let them find out and embarrass my mother. Li Siwen looked at her mother's guilty conscience. The look helplessly taut. Yuing nodded and straightened his back. Okay, let's all go out. Mrs. Li opened the door and pushed both of them out. Looking at the $200 left in her hand, she crawled under the bed, took a shovel, and pulled it for a long time. He dug out a box and put all the money in the box before burying it again. Brotherly, I want all this meat. If you look at a little more than 15 caddies, I will give you 15 yuan. Village Chief Xiao took out a stack of money from his pocket. It's a few cents, and if you count $15, you will give it to Old Man Li. Old Man Li looked at the money he handed over and shook his head, but didn't take it. Okay, you can take this money and buy some snacks for the children at home. You have been busy with Xiangshan for a long time now, but again, killing pigs is washing meat and also helping to sell meat. I don't give you wages. You can take this meat. The village chief shook his head. This is a trivial matter to help. He deserves so much meat. Okay, hyping. Why are you being polite to your brotherly? Mrs. Li watched him and pushed the money into his arms. Turned to look at Xiangshan and shouted, Xiangshan, what are you doing? Don't hurry up and take the meat away. It's so late. Your mother is waiting at home. Xiangshan picked up the meat after listening to Auntie Li's words and glanced at his father. Dad, let's go. My mother is still waiting. The village chief saw that Mrs. Li really wanted to give this meat, so he glanced at him gratefully and then said goodbye and went home. On the kitchen side, Xiao Qishuan tried his best to express himself. He cooked more than a dozen dishes at once, and the whole yard was full of aroma. Seeing the village chief leave, Xiao Qishuan came out of the kitchen. Father, milk is ready for dinner. Old Man Li looked at Xiao Qishuan with a smile. It was rare for him to smell such a delicious meal. He reached out and patted Xiao Qishuan on the shoulder. Go and ask your parents to come and eat too. Okay. Xiao Qishuan agreed with a smile. Since he and Yang Min were together, Grandpa Li and Grandma Li have not allowed themselves to enter the house. Now that they have asked their parents to come, does that mean they have forgiven themselves? It's a good thing for him or not? Xiao's father and Xiao's mother were stunned when they heard the Li family calling him to go to dinner, then Ishi, tidying up the yard and calling for his sons and daughters-in-law to go to Li's house. They also heard that the Li family hunted 2 big wild boars today. They wanted to go to see the excitement, but when they thought of the hostility of Aunt Li's family to their own family, they were too frightened to go. Father Xiao's family happily entered the Li's house. There was a person standing beside the big tree in front of Li's house. The moonlight hit the ground, revealing a figure. Watching the Xiao family happily enter Li's house, the woman's face was full of jealousy and hatred. Under the moonlight, Yang Min's face was grim, and she looked at the Li family compound fiercely. Her fists were clenched tightly, and her whole hand began to turn red. Damn Li Siwen, what a bitter trick! She even threatened Qi Xian with suicide by jumping into a river. Elder brother. Even if she does what she wants to make the Li and Xiao families reconcile, she still won't get brother Qi Xian's heart, and brother Qi Xian only likes himself, and only he is qualified to marry brother Qi Xian. Li Xingmao took out all the tables in the Li family's yard and set them up into 2 tables, one for women and one for men. After everyone was seated, Xiao Qishuan came out of the kitchen with dishes, one plate after another, all of which looked eye-catching. This dish smells really good, but I don't know how it tastes. Old man Li swallowed while looking at the braised pork in front of him, but he was still a little unconvinced. When did this kid cook so well? Grandpa, try it. I'm sure you still want to eat it, and I'll make it for you when the time comes. Xiao Qishuan put down another dish in front of him. Mother Xiao looked at her son with a strange look on her face and looked at the dishes in front of her. Qi Xian, you made all this? When did you learn to cook? Xiao Qishuan scratched his head and looked at his mother. I always do it, but I don't do it often, and you didn't let me do it. Xiao Qiaoying curled her lips. Mom, you still can't tell. We are not worth a 3rd brother to cook. Only Sister Siwen can let him show off his skills. When Mother Xiao heard this, she quickly nodded in agreement and turned to look at Li Siwen. Siwen, are you feeling better? And you don't have to think about you in the future. As long as I'm in Qishuan, I can only marry you, and Qishuan can only marry you. Xian also knew that he was wrong this time, and now he understands that he likes you, so please forgive him. Li Siwen is only interested in the fragrant dishes in front of her, and she is not interested in the marriage they talked about. She said to Mother Xiao, Auntie, I have forgiven brother Qi Xian now, and I found out that my feelings for brother Qi Xian are different. It's confusing. My love for him is not the relationship between men and women, but the relationship between my sister and my brother. I want to take this opportunity to call off my marriage with brother Qi Xian today. Without waiting for Mother Xiao to be happy, she was frightened by what she said next. Why do these two talk exactly the same, brother and sister relationship? The original owner likes Xiao Qishuan, but she is not the original owner, and she has no feelings for Xiao Qishuan at all. What she wants is a sweet love, not a direct marriage with a strange man. Yes. Without waiting for Mother Xiao to speak, Grandpa Xiao stopped him and said, Okay, Yuexia, don't mix things up between them. If they really love each other, then no one can stop them from being there. Together, if they don't like you, they won't be happy in the future even if they are together. Let them handle their affairs by themselves. They are big kids, and they have their own ideas. Yes, I agree with what Big Brother Xiao said, Yuexia. Don't let us elders get involved in this matter. Old Man Li also nodded in approval. Anyway, he listened to his granddaughter. In this way, the marriage of the two people was peacefully retired. Although the parents of the two families were confused, the old people of the two families agreed. Okay, let's all eat. Grandpa Xiao was the oldest and had the most say. He gave an order, and everyone picked up chopsticks. Li Siwen has long been greedy for the braised pork on the opposite side. It's red, and it looks delicious. She stood up and stretched out her chopsticks to pick up the braised pork in the distance. When Grandma Li saw that her granddaughter wanted to eat the braised pork opposite, she quickly glanced at the eldest daughter-in-law in front of the braised pork. Eldest daughter-in-law, take the meat in front of you with Siwen. Change it here. Fu Qiu heard her mother-in-law's words and stood up quickly, holding a plate of braised pork and handing it to Li Siwen. Li Siwen gave Fu Qiu the pot of meat in front of her again. "Thank you, Auntie. It's fine, just eat more if you like." After Fu Qiu finished speaking, she sat down. She didn't like braised pork very much. Li Siwen took over the braised pork and couldn't help but grab a piece and eat it. The braised pork has a very strong aroma, a sugary aroma, and the meat smells like barbecue. The meat is smooth and tender, and it melts in your mouth. Other people were very curious when they saw that Li Siwen's food was so delicious. Maybe this dish was really delicious, and they also took chopsticks. Well, Qi Xian didn't expect this cooking skill. Grandma Li took a sip of the dish next to her, and her eyes lit up. After that, when her granddaughter is with him, she doesn't have to cook anymore. It's a pity for the two. The little one broke off the marriage, and she still couldn't understand why her granddaughter suddenly changed, and she didn't like it if she didn't like it. "I was crying all day a few days ago. Maybe I really want to understand." Mother Xiao was also surprised, and suddenly became a little angry. This stinky boy, this is the first time he has eaten food made by him, and he has raised him so much for nothing. The cuffs of the clothes Li Siwen wore today were a bit too big, so she had to pull it while eating, otherwise she would get on the rice. Li Siyu was suddenly envious. "Sister, where did you get this bracelet from? It's so beautiful." Li Siwen was shocked when she heard this. She forgot about the bracelet. The original owner should have no bracelet, and what she was wearing on her hand was brought by herself when she traveled. I bought this bracelet from a friend before. Does it look good?" "It's normal." Li Siwen looked at the bracelet woven with black rope on her hand and said dissatisfiedly, "If it weren't for the black rope, the things are unusual, so she won't carry them all the time. They have long since thrown them away." Li Siyu thought it was very good-looking and watched it again and again. Bought it. Xiao Qishuan ate the vegetables. How could this girl love to lie? She wore this black bracelet when she took care of herself in her previous life. He was still curious about how he was wearing such an ugly thing. There are so many bright ones without wearing them, but with a small black rope. At that time, she told herself that her grandfather gave her to her, so she bought it. Looking at this appearance, Grandpa Li doesn't know about the bracelet. Liar. Xiao Qishuan muttered fiercely, looking at the braised pork in front of him and taking a big mouthful. "Ah!" Li Siwen sneezed suddenly and glanced at Xiao Qishuan inadvertently. Xiao Qishuan stiffened when she glanced at him. She wouldn't suspect that she was scolding her. "Ah!" Another sneeze came. Yuing looked at her daughter worriedly. "Siwen, it's not because of a fever, okay? Why are you sneezing all the time?" Grandma Li hurriedly ran to her granddaughter's side and touched her head. "It's not hot. Shouldn't it burn, Siwen? Are you feeling bad?" Li Siwen rubbed her nose and shook her head. "Nanny, Mom, I'm fine. I just sneezed a few times. I guess some scolds me." "Well, I guess it's possible. It must be that of Yang Min, just thinking about how to grab a man from you. But she doesn't have to worry about it in the future." Grandma Li said angrily. "To such a shameless girl."
Okay.
Yang Liangmin at the door slammed the door hard, and the sound of bang 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 came into the yard. Xiao Qishuan was upset when he heard the sound of the door, and looking at the door that was about to be shaken, he got up and ran to open the door. Yang Liangmin looked at Xiao Qishuan, who opened the door for a moment, then passed him and entered the yard. When he saw the people in the yard, he quickly found Old Man Li and ran over with a smile. "Uncle Li, I heard that your family has beaten 2 wild boars today, and they are still selling meat in the village." "Well, what's the matter?" "I've already sold out the meat. I'm making a lot of money today." Old Man Li said sternly. "Call it yourself. How beautiful it is without money." Yang Liangmin knew that he was still angry when he heard it, and he immediately smiled apologetically. "Uncle Li, don't be angry. My mother is ignorant. Can you sell me some of your meat? I also want $1 a pound." "No, you don't understand," Old Man Li said with a stinky face. "Here, Uncle Li, or 1 piece and 2 will do." Yang Liangmin said anxiously. He must have this meat now. He has great use for this meat. He has found a good job for his son in the county town these days, and he just needs some good things to walk around a bit. How rare Is this meat? I don't know what my mother did. No, Brother Liang Min, are you having trouble with your ears or what? My dad said it's gone, and you keep asking, how hard is it to buy meat? Don't you think it's 20 cents cheaper? Do you think the people in the village? Are you as stupid as my Aunt Yi? Everyone has bought them all. Li Xingwen looked at Yang Liangmin and said speechlessly, what did he do earlier? Yang Liangmin sighed and left in despair. He smelled the aroma of the meat in the village, and Yang Liangmin got angry and yelled at his daughter-in-law when he got home. Now, where did he go to collect good things? Isn't it hard for him? You bastard, all the good things have been ruined for you. Do you know that I broke my leg for the work of the third child, and it is not easy to find one that is all finished? Yang Liangmin squatted in the yard with his head in his arms. Su also realized the seriousness at this moment and leaned over to the man in fear. Does this have to be meat? If it's a big deal, let's go to the county town to buy it. Buy, it's easy for you to say. Where's the best place to buy it when it's not even the festival but the New Year? Even if there are tickets, it may not be in stock. Even state-run restaurants don't have any meat that can't be sold as meat dishes. Where can I buy it? Otherwise, meat is precious, and meat is given to the leaders. Then what to do? Su Ru also started to worry. Then he went to work in the county, not to mention what he was doing, it was a state-owned enterprise, and by then it was an iron job, so he just waited for his son to go in and go out by himself. Bragging and bragging. It's all over now, it's all gone. She is very regretful now. What do you think she is doing this afternoon? The Yang family is all frowning, but the Li family is beaming. Early in the morning, Mrs. Li divided the meat of several daughters-in-law's homes. Neither the second daughter-in-law nor the eldest daughter-in-law have any objection to the fact that the third daughter-in-law has an extra pig thigh. If it weren't for Siwen from the third family, they wouldn't even have a mouthful of meat, let alone bring it home. It's too late for the two of them to be happy, so they don't care about it. Li's family doesn't have a bicycle, but there is an ox cart, and the daughters-in-law take turns to sit back to their parents' house. But today it's not good. It's a hot day, and the pork should go bad soon after it's put away. Mr. Li and Mr. Li both went out to borrow an ox cart. The chief of the village had one, and the Xiao family also had one. Borrowing or borrowing, Li Laosan drove his own ox cart with his daughter-in-law and daughter-in-law. Yuing was not far away. He went out to the west and walked around a few villages to arrive. After breakfast, Mr. Li told his parents and set off in an ox cart. After walking for about an hour, he arrived at the entrance of Yujia village. From a long distance, he saw a group of aunties chatting around the big tree at the intersection. When Yuing came back, they all laughed and asked, Yuing, you're going back to your mother's house. What are you bringing? Big pig legs. An aunt said with wide eyes, thinking that the pig legs would weigh at least 20 to 30 pounds. This Li family has made a fortune, so let's take such a big pork leg. The fat old lady stared in disbelief, and the skinny aunt on the side was also very surprised. How did the Li family give such a big pig leg when it was not a new year and a festival? Li Xingwen looked at everyone's surprised appearance and proudly opened another bag, pointed to the meat in the bag and said, Hey, it's not been a long time since I've been to my mother-in-law's house, so my mother asked me to bring more things back home. Filial piety and filial piety to her old man. No, a pig leg is too few, and I packed 12 pounds of pork for me. Sigh, Li Xingwen couldn't be more happy when he looked at everyone's surprised and envious appearance. His mouth grinned to the back of his ears. Yuing also pretended to be no big deal and greeted everyone. Okay, Andy, Auntie, Grandma, I won't chat with you, Xingwen, and I will go home first. Okay, let's go first. The aunties greeted one after another. Looking at the appearance of her parents, Li Siwen held back her laughter all the time. Her parents were too good at pretending. Look at the demeanor of the rich and noble family. Watching a few people leave, a few aunties got together and started gossiping. You said why the Li family is so generous all of a sudden. So much meat is enough for the people in our village to celebrate the new year, so I gave it to the Yu family. The fat aunt said curiously. The thin aunt pouted and sneered. Who knows? Maybe it's not something clean. What do you say? The crowd gathered around curiously. The thin aunt saw that everyone was gathered and began to tell everyone. Did you hear about what happened to the Lee family a while ago? What's the matter? Everyone look at me, and I look at you, and you shook your head. You say it quickly, don't give up. The skinny aunt smiled. No one can compare to her in these gossips. The granddaughter of the Lee family, the eldest daughter of Yuing, was divorced, and she was jumping into the river a few days ago, but she was rescued in the end. But he was sick for several days. Is this true or false? Really, this is what Yu Ying's aunt told me. She has nose and eyes. Did you know that Yu Ying's mother went away a few days ago? Then she went to see her granddaughter. Clapping hands and talking. There is no reason for this pig thigh. It must be given by the family who broke off the marriage. The family felt sorry for them for giving a few pig thighs. The thin lady has already thought about the whole thing for herself. That's really possible, but looking at this shot, the family must be very rich. What can you do if you have money? If you don't want to break off the marriage, how can that girl from the Lee family get married after she gets divorced? Do you know that the girl is very evil and as strong as a cow? Who would dare to provoke her? Whoever gets married will not be able to make offerings, and he will not be able to beat him. He can't say that girl can still eat, and a meal is more than 3 adult men. Yo, Song Lon, it seems that you have a good handle on the Lee family's affairs. An old lady said with a laugh, but she felt sorry for the Lee family's granddaughter. This does not say whether the girl will beat people or not, but only because of the girl's appetite. If it weren't for the wealthy people, they wouldn't dare to marry her, and they wouldn't be able to support her. Mom and Dad, I'm Yuing. I'm here to see you. Yuing stood in front of Yu's house and patted the door, calling out to Yu Disheng and his wife. Chen Yufan, who was doing laundry in the yard, got up happily when she heard her daughter's voice, wiped the water stains on her hands, and quickly opened the door. Xingwen, Ingzi, why are you here this time? Hurry in. Chen Yufan looked at the ox cart that her daughter was riding and opened the door to make it brighter. Li Xingwen got out of the car and pulled the ox cart into the yard. In the yard, Li Xingwen helped his daughter-in-law out of the ox cart. Li Siwen jumped out of the cart and then hugged Li Yonggan and got off the ox cart. Mom, what do you think I brought you? Yuing got out of the car and quickly pulled Chen Yufan to the back of the ox cart. Chen Yufan looked at the things on the car, her eyes widened and her mouth widened, and she didn't recover until Yuing pulled her. Ingzi, where did you get this big pig leg? Did you bring it back secretly? I told you that you can't do this. After you get married, you will become a family again. You can't help your mother's family all day long. Now your 2 concubines don't want it either. Yuing anxiously took her daughter's sign language and taught it earnestly. Yuing looked at the old mother helplessly. Oh, Mom, where are you going? This is what my mother-in-law asked me to take back. See, when this girl went up the mountain and directly beat 2 wild boars. We brought back 1 pig's leg. My sister-in-law didn't dare to say it. If it wasn't for my daughter, they would have nothing. Yuing raised her eyebrows, said excitedly, her daughter is still very powerful. Chen Yufan felt at ease. Li Xingwen took the pork leg and pork into the kitchen. At this time, Yu Shui returned home with Yu Junbao, the younger brother of the second uncle's family. Eldest aunt, eldest uncle, sister Siwen, brother Yonggan. Yu Shui looked at them and greeted them politely. Yu Junbao became a little shy when he looked at his aunt and uncle and hid behind Chen Yufan and stuck his head out. Junbao, call someone, your aunt and uncle are here, and they brought you a lot of meat. Chen Yufan took the child behind her and taught him how to call someone. This kid is too thin-skinned. This can't be done. How to marry a wife in the future. Junbao, I'm your sister Siwen. Come over and ask my sister to give you candy. Li Siwen took out a few candies from her pocket. The packaging of the candy was pink and sparkling, and there was nothing printed on it. So she is not afraid of being suspected. Yu Junbao's eyes lit up when he saw the candy. He swallowed and moved a few steps, but then he stepped back. Li Siwen turned to look at Yu Shui. Yu Shui immediately called sweetly, Sister Siwen. Hey, I'll give you some candy. Li Siwen took a few and gave them to Yu Shui, then turned to look at Yu Junbao. Junbao is good. Ask my sister to give you candy. Sister, elder sister. Yu Junbao shouted shyly, with wide eyes.
Oops.
Junbao is so good. Come to my sister to give you candy. Lee Siwon took a few more candies and touched Yu Junbao's little face and handed them to him. Yu Junbao immediately smiled and looked at Chen Yufin when he saw the candy in his hand and gave her one. Grandma, you can eat it too. Chen Yufin shook her head and didn't take the candy. She touched her grandson's head and said, Grandma won't eat it. Junbao will eat it. Although this child doesn't say anything, he is filial in his heart. Yuing sighed while looking at Yu Junbao, who ran away. Chen Yufin nodded, turned to look at her granddaughter, reached out and nodded her forehead. You little girl doesn't worry at all. You're just a man, what do you mean? Let's find out if it's a big deal, and let's talk about the three-legged toad. It's easy to find. Two-legged men are running around, and we can find another one that is no worse than him.
Oh.
Grandma, I know I'm wrong, and after this experience, I have realized that I don't like Brother Qi Xian at all. Don't worry, this kind of thing will never happen again. Lee Siwon smiled. She looked at her grandmother and said flatteringly, Chen Yufin is a little unbelievable. She likes it to the death. Just jump in the river. But the granddaughter said so, and she couldn't do anything about it. Okay, Grandma will believe you, but you are not allowed to lie to me. Lee Siwon nodded like a chicken. At noon, Father Yu came back from the field with a few sons, daughter-in-law and grandson with a hoe, and he was excited to see the girl in the yard. Why did Ingzi come back? Why did this girl come back? This is not a festival, and there is no work in the field. Her mother-in-law, and they agreed with her to come back? Father Yu was puzzled. Yuing looked at her father with excitement, looked at him and said, Siwon beat 2 wild boars on the mountain yesterday. My mother-in-law asked me to bring some meat. Father Yu looked at Lee Siwon in surprise, and after a while, a few words popped out. Siwon is so powerful. Although her granddaughter is very strong, she has 2 wild boars, which is difficult for even a few adults to deal with. Not to mention that Father Yu was shocked. The sons behind him also looked incredulous. It would be okay if dozens of adult men killed a wild boar. How could this Siwon be possible? Yu Bao shook his head in disbelief. Yuing saw that they didn't believe it, dragged them to the kitchen, pointed at the big pig's leg on the ground and said proudly, Big brother, second brother, did you see it? My daughter brought it here. To honor you, there is also this bag of pork. Yes, my daughter is filial to her grandfather and grandmother. Li Xingwen stared at her big round eyes and said with a thumbs up, He has no great skills in his life, but he gave birth to a good daughter. Looking at the things on the ground, the Yu family's son didn't believe it, but Yu's father believed it. If it wasn't for the granddaughter hitting 2 wild boars, the Li family would be so generous with a pork leg and a bag of pork. Well, Siwon has filial piety. Father Yu looked relieved. Mom, then I'll go to the vegetable garden to pick up some vegetables. Let's have a good lunch for Siwon's blessing. Fu Xiuwen looked at her mother-in-law and said excitedly, It's been a long time since the family has eaten meat. I'm going with my sister-in-law. Wu Liang followed suit, looking at her sister with tender eyes. This girl is good. Every time she goes back to her mother's house, she brings back good things. Can this Annie be in a bad relationship? Sister-in-law, second sister-in-law, I will help you. Yuing walked forward with a smile, holding the hands of the 2 sisters-in-law. Chen Yufin watched them leave with a smile on her face. Family harmony was what she wanted to see most. Okay, let's sit down and take a break. What are you doing standing up? Chen Yufin saw that the men were all standing and hurriedly put out a stool. Father Yu took his son to wash his hands, cleaned up the soil stains on his body, and then moved the stool and sat down. Looking at the son-in-law beside him, Father Yu started chatting with him. Li Siwon looked at them, a group of big men sitting and chatting, and was immediately very bored. Got up and went out the door. Walking outside the gate, Li Siwon stretched out, looked up at the sky and sighed a long time. It was great. It seems that time travel is not bad. At least she has parents, as well as the relatives of grandparents. This was the thing she envied the most in her last life. Every time she saw the family go out to play, she was so envious, but her parents had married and each had children, so she was the extra one. Li Siwon followed the road in front of the gate and happened to see a group of old ladies chatting together. It just so happened that the content of the chat was about herself. Now Li Siwen became interested and hid behind a big tree, but the more she listened to Li Siwen, the more angry she became. Seeing several women, sparks appeared in her eyes. Hey, long-mouthed woman, you have the ability to say it in front of me. What are you doing in that corner if you don't have the ability? Li Siwen rushed over angrily. Song Lan was taken aback. Seeing clearly that the person who came was a little girl, she immediately lost all fear.
Ouch.
Fan Min rolled directly on the ground and rolled a few times. She screamed in pain. When Song Zhen saw that Fan Min was thrown to the ground to save himself, he panicked. He suddenly remembered the rumors in Xiaojia village. He heard that this little girl has no flesh, but she is surprisingly powerful and can be turned over by one person. Pick up a few strong men. Wowu Songjin became more and more frightened the more she thought about it, and she couldn't care about the pain in her face, so she burst into tears. Siwen, Siwen girl, Siwen beauty, please forgive me. I don't dare anymore. Come on, sister. Hurry up and save me. Song Lan took a few steps back, but she didn't dare to go forward. She didn't see Fan Min being thrown to the ground before she could stop anyone, and she only got beaten when she went. But seeing her sister being beaten, Song Lan was still a little distressed. Looking at Li Siwen, who was still slapped, Song Lan suddenly had a solution. She ran directly to Yu's house and looked at the people in Yu's yard. Song Lan shouted in a panic, "Uncle Yu, your family Siwen is about to beat my sister to death. You don't care." When Father Yu heard this, he immediately stood up, and when he turned his head, he found that his granddaughter was not at home. "Xingwen, hurry up and take a look at me." Li Xingwen ran out as soon as he heard it, but killing someone was going to pay for his life, so he had to stop his daughter quickly. When Yu's father followed Li Xingwen, Song Zhen's whole face was bruised and bruised. Seeing Song Zhen's appearance, Li Xingwen couldn't help laughing. Song Zhen looked at the person in front of him and laughed at himself, and he was so angry that he was about to die, and he was about to swear at him. Song Zhen, sister, why did you become like this, Uncle Yu? Look at the way your girl beat my sister. It's all like this. You must give me an explanation today. Song Lan ran to Song Zhen in front of him. He reached out and touched her face lightly. Sister, what are you doing? Murder me. Song Zhen said inarticulately, frowning tightly together. Song Lan was even more distressed when she saw this scene. Uncle Yu, if you don't give me an explanation today, I will take my sister to your house. Yu's father looked at her with a sloppy look, and the corners of his eyes were full of helplessness. What can I do? Take her to the hospital to have a look. Song Lan, take Yu and help your sister to the hospital with me, and give her some medicine to wipe her face. Uncle Yu, my sister won't be able to go out for a few months because of this injury. Do you know how much she lost? You have to pay me money. Song Lan raised her voice a bit. Song Zhen also nodded aside. He had to defraud them for 100 yuan, and he disfigured himself. Hey, Sister Song, you're not being unreasonable. Although Siwen from my family is strong, she is a sensible child. If you didn't provoke her, she would beat you and lose money. Okay, ask my daughter for go. Li Xingwen was angry when he heard that he lost money. If he wanted money or not, he would be beaten. I want money. How much I think it's worth my injury. If it's not worth it, I'll hit a few more times. Oh, by the way, slander her at will. I'll go to the Public Security Bureau and ask, how much compensation will it cost? Li Siwen clapped her hands, raised her eyelids, and glanced at the Songjin sisters. Songjin shuddered when she saw it, and the whole wound started to hurt. You, what are you doing? I'm hurt. I won't watch it, sister. Let's go back. Hey, let's go now. Don't settle the account clearly. Let's see how much to pay. Li Siwen looked at the two with a smile. Songjin just glanced at her and ran away. He had to beat himself, but he had to beat himself to death. She didn't want to be beaten anymore. That girl was so strong that she could make her face crooked with a single hit. Father Yu watched the two Songjin sisters go, and then looked at Fan Min, who was holding a pestle on the side. Not ashamed. Siwen, what did your second grandmother say about you? I want to see if you really have noses and eyes. Father Yu looked at his granddaughter and said if it wasn't for this, he wouldn't let it go easily. Grandpa, my second grandmother, and the others said that the big pig leg that my family brought you was bought by my parents with my marriage, and they also said that I couldn't tie the man up and was robbed by others. Also scolded me, saying that I eat too much, so I can't get married in the future, and no one dares to marry too much. Lee Siwon said. Her eyes were slightly rosy. She was moved when she saw her grandfather's frantic appearance. She could be considered someone to rely on in her life. Fan Min, that's how you slandered your granddaughter, isn't it? Father Yu's voice was majestic, and his eyes were full of disappointment. Fan Min became a grandmother. She blushed when she heard it. She knew she shouldn't do this, but she was just jealous. She was jealous. Big pig legs. Who can afford this? The village chief, the family can't afford it either. But why is the eldest brother's family so capable? In the past, when my mother-in-law was alive, she was overwhelmed by her. My mother-in-law often compared my sister-in-law's natal family with herself. Now that my mother-in-law has passed away, she is still habitually compared with her sister-in-law. Her daughter is not married yet. He started to go to the man's house with the things at home, and the girl from the sister-in-law's family went to her mother's house every 3 days to get good things, and she was more powerful every time. She got angry when she thought about it. Big brother, I just listened to what they were saying. Fan Min stammered. She was afraid that Big brother would tell the man about this, and according to her wife's temper, she knew that she had to beat herself up. She is so old, and she is beaten for gossiping about her eldest brother's granddaughter. How embarrassing. How will she manage her daughter-in-law in the future? Listen to them. I can't stop watching. You apologize to Siwon today, or I'll let Deshun take care of you. Father Yu pointed at her angrily. Fan Min couldn't tell the man, so she hurried to Lee Siwon and opened her mouth in embarrassment. Siwon, I'm sorry. Just forgive the second grandmother. Lee Siwon glanced at Fan Min and ran to Yu's father's side with a smile, took Yu's father's arm and said coquettishly, Grandpa, I'm hungry, have my aunt and the others cooked food. Let's go back. I want to eat more today. Okay, let's go back. Father Yu smiled and was supported by his granddaughter. Second grandmother told my second grandfather at noon to let him go to my grandfather's house for dinner. Lee Siwon spoke to Fan Min before leaving. The relationship between the original owner's grandfather and younger brother has always been very good, and the relationship between the two is also very good. Every time there is something good in the house, the grandfather will always call the second grandfather's family to come to the house for dinner. This happened today. The grandfather is sure I'm embarrassed to call someone for my own sake. Sure enough, as soon as Lee Siwon said these words, the smile on Yu's father's face continued. His granddaughter is really good. Fan Min nodded quickly after hearing this. Okay, I'll talk to your second grandpa when I go back now. Yu Ying and Li Xingwen were walking behind Yu's father, and she couldn't help but raise the corner of her mouth as she watched her daughter coax her father's smile. Her daughter is powerful and sensible. How could she not like it? When I arrived at Yu's house, I could smell the aroma of the rice. Li Siwon, who was already a little hungry, suddenly felt even more hungry. She ran to the door of the kitchen and saw her Aunt Li Siwon, who was burning the fire, and came over. Auntie, is the meal ready? I'm starving. Fu Xiuwen looked up and saw her coming in with a smile on his face. Siwon is hungry. You ask your second aunt to serve you a bowl of chicken soup. This chicken soup was also told by my mother-in-law to kill the hen at home. This hen is very precious. It was also this year that the policy was opened, and the family only raised a few. This hen was also killed when it started laying eggs. When she was just killed today, she was still a little reluctant. But she didn't feel bad when she saw the pig thighs and pork brought back by her sister-in-law. These things can't be exchanged for 10 hens at home. Siwon is hungry? Come here and see what you want to eat. Wu Liying shouted, seeing Li Siwon approaching, pointing to the dishes on the table next to her. Li Siwon's eyes lit up when she saw several dishes on the table. She took the chopsticks handed over by her second aunt and grabbed a little at a glance, and then took a steamed bun mixed with thick and white noodles and ate it with the dishes. Although the taste is not as good as Xiao Qishuan's, it is not bad. Li Siwon ate a bowl of vegetables and a bowl of chicken soup, and after eating 3 steamed buns, She felt a little more comfortable in her stomach. Fu Xiuwen's last dish came out of the pot, and Wu Lying began to help bring the dishes out of the house.
Wow.
There's some meat to eat today. Yu Shui and Yu Junqing couldn't help but run to the table as soon as the dishes were brought to the table. Yu Junbao followed behind and swallowed, his eyes glowing at the dishes on the table. Sit down, we can eat when your second grandfather comes. Chen Yufan looked at the children and said. Yu Shui and the others immediately found a stool to sit obediently after hearing this. There were voices coming from the door, and Yu Deshun came with his son and grandchildren. Seeing Yu Desheng's excitement on his face, the children in the family hadn't seen meat for half a year, and now they've been exposed to the big girl's light. Brother, you are in the early stages, the children are married, and Ingzi is so filial to you. I am so envious. How can you and your daughter, who are not married yet, secretly take the family's things to honor her in-laws? It is a shame that there is no hope. Everyone is married to the man to please the woman. Her family is better. His girl is chasing after others. This girl can't control it when she is too big, and he can't persuade him. As long as he doesn't come back from time to fight the autumn wind. When Yu Desheng heard this, he felt very happy, and his face was full of smiles. Haha, this girl Ingzi really has nothing to say to me and her mother. This kid Xingwen is also very filial. You don't envy me. Now, your family Yuji is about to get married, so it won't be 3 days or 2 to send you good things. It's just her. It's fine if you don't come to fight the autumn wind. Fanmin said with some anger after hearing this. Brother and sister, what are you talking about? Isn't the person Jir is talking to urban people or regular workers? This is an iron rice bowl, and those who eat commercial grains are much better than our rural people, and they still get wages. What? Just like us rural people, if you work hard in the fields for a year, you don't need to starve to death. Chen Yufan's eyes were full of envy. Fanmin laughed a few times after hearing this. She couldn't help her sister-in-law feel the same way, and even other people in the village felt the same way, but only his family knew that the person the girl was going to marry was not so good. But this young man has a bunch of people to support in his family. Not only his elderly parents, but also his younger siblings who are studying. The burden of the whole family rests on him. Where is his daughter married to enjoy happiness? She is clearly a mother. But she couldn't say these words. She had been secretly competing with her sister-in-law all her life, but she couldn't compare to her sister-in-law in everything. Okay, sit down and eat and say, these children are greedy. Yu Desheng said, looking at the pitiful appearance of his grandson and granddaughter. Only then did Yu Desheng bring his sons into the seat. Looking at the table full of meat and vegetables, he said that it was false not to be jealous, but every time the eldest brother had something good, he would share some of it with himself. Thinking of this, Yu Desheng felt a little jealous in his heart. Disappeared. Li Siwen waited for the moment to eat for a long time, and when she saw her grandfather picked up the chopsticks, she followed suit and took the big rice bowl prepared by her aunt, and she quickly attacked the dishes on the table. Fanmin frowned at Li Siwen's appetite. This girl's appetite is really big. If she didn't find a rich family, she really couldn't support her. But after what happened today, even if she complained in her heart, she wouldn't dare to say anything. After the meal, Yu's father took another bowl and gave Yu Desheng a bowl of the rest of the meat and vegetables, and asked them to take them back to eat at night. When it was almost afternoon, Li Xingwen took the child and was about to go home. As soon as he led the ox cart out of the yard, 7 or 8 strong men walked in front of the road. Li Xingwen saw Songjin caught in the middle with sharp eyes and immediately knew what was going on. The women dared to go back and complain. Daughter, you go out and hide for a while. The old ladies are so mean. They dare to bring people here, and you will come out when I have finished cleaning them up. Li Xingwen said that he pushed the girl to the side and looked at it. His daughter-in-law also pushed aside. Anyway, I didn't lose any money. The big deal is that I plan to suffer a meal. Li Siwen rolled her eyes at him. What do you do when my mother and I are gone? Keep it for beatings. What do you do with your grandparents? You don't need to worry about me. I'll hit one if you come, and I'll beat you if you come. Isn't a human being? She is also human, who is afraid of who, Li Siwen said arrogantly. Yo, the little girl's tone is not small. I want to see how you begged for mercy today. Dare to beat my wife, I tell you. You can either pay me 100 yuan today, or you don't come up with this the village. Song Zhen's man Cheng Yuqing smiled disdainfully at the little girl in front of him. How can a little girl be so loud and dare to beat a few of them, without looking at how much she weighs? Even if she had 2 strokes, it would be great for her stupid daughter-in-law. He has brought 6 or 7 brothers. Even if this girl is evil, she will have to treat her otherwise. What is the majesty of his boss Cheng? 100 yuan if you don't want money, you want a life. If you have the ability, you can kill me. If you don't have the ability, get out of here. Li Siwen looked at the man in front of her and was not afraid at all. She used to be an unwanted child. People often want to bully her, but they are all beaten away by her. She is really not afraid of fighting, not to mention that she is so strong now. Yo, the little girl has some courage in the movie. I tell you that if you don't pay again, you'll be blamed for being rude. As soon as Cheng Yuqing finished speaking, Li Siwen threw her fist at him and hit him in the stomach. Cheng Yuqing was beaten and bowed his waist immediately, flying directly to a height of 1 meter, and then fell heavily to the ground. When Song Zhen saw the man being beaten, he was distressed and scared, and just hurriedly ran towards the man to support the man. Yuqing, are you all right? I said that this girl is very evil. You are not his opponent. Cheng Yuqing sat on the ground and coughed a few times. He raised his head and looked at the girl in front of him. His face was full of horror. Looking at the brothers who were also terrified behind him, Cheng Yuqing stood up and shouted at them. Withdraw. Li Xingwen left like this when he saw the people, and he immediately became arrogant and chased the few people a few steps. Bah, isn't it very powerful? What a jerk. Run away so cowardly. Xingwen, save your time. Go home quickly. Yuing looked at the man's appearance and didn't see it. On the other hand, the villagers who were watching the lively on the side looked at the granddaughter of the Yu family several times, and she couldn't afford to offend her. Who is Cheng Yuqing, a famous local ruffian who does a lot of stealing and trolling all day long, but no one can control him because this person is not only ruthless, he fights fiercely, and he has many brothers. But now so many people have been beaten up by this girl, and with the move just now, Cheng Yuqing was knocked into the air with 1 punch. What a great effort. Don't say that the people in the village were surprised. Even the Yu family were all shocked. This girl can't be blamed for killing a wild boar. Yu's father could see that his granddaughter Cheng Yuqing didn't use all her strength just as she was playing, and it was like she was playing and knocked people flying, and the wild boar might have been killed with 1 punch. Be careful on your way, or you'll stay at home late. Chen Yufan looked at her daughter and son-in-law for a while and said, It's getting late. What if it gets dark if you don't go home? Li Xingwen shook his head. No, if we don't go back tonight, my parents will be worried to death, and we should be thinking about what happened to us. Yu's father nodded after hearing this. The family was worried when the children were away from home. Besides, Xingwen and the others didn't tell their in-laws to keep it. Dad, Mom, we're going back. You guys should also go back to the house. Yuing got on the ox cart, hugged her son, and said to Yu's father. Li Xingwen also got into the ox cart, waved to the second old man, and left. Chen Yufan went home after seeing their figures disappear. She went to the kitchen and saw most of the pork left in the kitchen. She looked at the man. Dishin, I will send some of this meat to Lily tomorrow. That girl will have a hard time. I don't know what's going on recently. Okay, I'll listen to you, but you can decide what to do with the eldest and the second eldest. Send it to Lily girl. They will feel better. Yudisheng looked at the 2 houses in the Westinghouse. Chen Yufan had a hard time after hearing this, because all the meat she gave to her family was gone. Forget it. Let me air dry the meat and eat it when Lily comes back. This dead girl hasn't come back for more than half a year. She's going to die of anxiety. She's the only one of the few children who has a poor life, and I don't know if she's hungry. The night fell quietly, and the sky gradually got dark. Li Xingwen hurriedly drove the ox cart to the house. As soon as he arrived at the door of the house, he saw Mrs. Li moving a stool and sitting in front of the gate. Mom, it's so late. Why haven't you slept yet? Li Xingwen jumped off the ox cart and ran to her side, carefully helped her to stand up, moved the stool aside to open the door, and then led the ox cart into the yard. You stinky boy. Taking your daughter-in-law back to her mother's house and coming back so late. I'm worried to death. I'm afraid that if something happens on the way, you have lost all my good grandsons to me. Mrs. Lee said after running towards her granddaughter. She breathed a sigh of relief after looking around. Honey, I'll go see my grandfather and the others. It's nothing to do. Just go back to sleep. Lee Siwon helped Mrs. Lee into the room. After a simple wash, Lee Siwon also entered the room, took off her clothes, and got into the bed. Touching the bracelet and entering the space, Lee Siwon walked directly towards the food area, took a bag of white noodles and 2 bags of rice, and Lee Siwon walked to her cargo area. This cargo area is the result of her battle these days, and all the food she has taken in the past few days is placed, including fruit, cooked food, and grain. She plans to go to the county seat tomorrow to see if she can sell all these things. Out of the space, Lee Siwon lay in bed and fell asleep quickly, and it was already dawn when she woke up again. Lee Siwon was called out by Yang Min just after breakfast. Standing at the gate, Lee Siwon looked at the people in front of her with disgust in her eyes. What are you doing to me, tell me? Yang Min looked at Lee Siwon with rosy eyes. Siwon, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have treated you like that, but I beg you, give me brother Qi Xian. If I don't have Qi Xian, brother can't live anymore. Lee Siwon leaned against the wall, her fingers constantly clasping the soil and sand in the cracks of the wall bricks. Well, are you finished? Siwon, I beg you. Yang Min's heart froze when she saw her cold eyes. She didn't know why Lee Siwon had changed so much in just a few days. Or she just pretended to be stupid with herself before, but in fact she knew everything. Lee Siwon. Yang Min looked at her just as she had just shouted. Her eyes changed to a weak face when she saw the figure in front of her. Then he fell down and raised his body straight back. Ah. Yang Min fell to the ground and screamed, a lot of dust on her face. Siwon, why did you hit me? I really didn't mean it. I just like brother Qi Xian. I'm sorry. I won't dare to pester brother Qi Xian again. Please let me go, woo-woo. Yang Min covered her face with her hands and missed a gap, looking at the man who walked over with joy in her eyes. Siwon. Xiao Qishuan saw the two of them from far away. He was afraid that Yang Min would provoke their relationship again, so he ran over and saw the crying man sitting on the ground. Lee Siwon heard the voice and saw Xiao Qishuan, and immediately understood what Yang Min had just done. This is really a scheming bitch. It's a pity not to act. Yang Min heard Xiao Qishuan's voice with a look of joy on his face, and got up from the ground directly, rushing into Xiao Qishuan's arms with a leap. Where would Xiao Qishuan hug her? He wanted to hide from this woman now, so he strayed away, and Yang Min fell to the ground abruptly. Compared to the pretentious fall just now, the fall this time was a real pain, and it made Yang Min's eyes flush with tears. Brother Qi Xian, why are you avoiding? Siwon bullies me and you bully me. I know I'm sorry for Siwon, but I really like you. Can you tell Siwon to tell her not to? You bullied me. Yang Min looked at Xiao Qishuan cautiously and then looked at Lee Siwon provocatively. Brother Qi Xian will definitely teach Lee Siwon a lesson now. Let's see if she'll be cheeky enough to pester brother Qi Xian. Lee Siwon looked at Yang Min speechlessly. Yang Min, how did I bully you just now? Obviously you fell to the ground yourself, and then started screaming, you idiot. You, brother Qi Xian, look, Siwon scolded me again. Yang Min looked at Xiao Qishuan aggrievedly, hoping that he could decide for himself. Okay, Yang Min, I told you to break up, and you don't keep pestering Siwon, and don't pester me anymore. Xiao Qishuan glanced at Yang Min with disgust, and then looked at Lee Siwon worriedly. Since that incident was made clear, the relationship between the two was not so embarrassing anymore. One could be an older brother with peace of mind, and the other a younger sister with peace of mind. Yang Min looked at the two people in front of her, looking at each other. Her stomach was full of anger. How could this be? What kind of eyebrow technique did Lee Siwon use to seduce brother Qi Xian? Without brother Qi Xian, she would marry that old lame man. She didn't want to. How could such an ugly person be worthy of her? Xiao Qishuan. You can't go. I already have your child. You must marry me. Yang Min shouted directly while watching Xiao Qishuan chasing Lee Siwon's footsteps. As soon as these words came out of Xiao Qishuan's footsteps, He looked at Yangmin behind him with anger on his face. Yangmin, can you point your face? You are pregnant with my child, and I have never kissed you on the mouth. I told you that if you dare to pester me like this again, I will sue the Public Security Bureau, and I don't think you will have a good reputation. Yangmin looked at the man in front of her with a pale face. She didn't understand how he had changed so much in just a few days. It was clear that Brother Qi Xian looked at him with pity and love in the past, but now he is completely unfamiliar. He really doesn't like him anymore, and Yangmin's heart aches when he thinks of this possibility. Xiao Qishuan left angrily after saying this. Yangmin was too embarrassed to say it. When Li Siwen returned home, Mrs. Li had already packed the pork leg and pork into a bag. Grandma, have you packed everything? I'll go to my sister-in-law's house. Li Siwen saw her grandma was still busy in the kitchen and ran in. Packed up, packed up. Mrs. Li walked out of the kitchen and took another bag of flour and handed it to Li Siwen. Li Siwen took the bags and put them on the ox cart. It was a long way to the county seat, and it took 4 or 5 hours to drive the ox cart. She went today and came back tomorrow. Packed up the things, Li Siwen drove the bullock cart and went out the door. After leaving the village, Li Siwen saw that there was no one nearby, so she secretly took out a bag of candy from the space and added some rice and fruit before continuing on her way. It was noon when we arrived at the county seat, and Li Siwen hurried to Li Chuanfeng's house in an ox cart. When arrived, Li Chunfeng was sitting at home for lunch, holding a little girl in his arms. Seeing Li Siwen coming, Li Chunfeng was stunned for a moment, followed by Ishi. Siwen, why are you here? Li Chunfeng carried her daughter to Li Siwen's side and then pulled the ox cart to the front of her yard. Most of the houses in the county town are a large yard. There are more than a dozen families living in it. The yard is owned by everyone. It is not good to park the ox cart in the center of the yard. Stand up. After the ox cart was parked, Li Siwen returned the child to Li Chunfeng and took away the cloth covering the ox cart. She carried a few bags into the house. Before Li Chunfeng could enter the house, she smelled a smell of mushy vegetables. Thinking of the vegetables, she hurried to the place where the fire was burning and saw that the vegetables had become mushy. She poured them all out with some distress. Little aunt, I'm holding Chiomei. Go and fry some pork in the house and give Shiming and the others a meal. Li Siwen said and took the child from her aunt's arms. Li Chunfeng entered the room and saw something on a table. She opened a big bag, and what she could see was a big bag of pork. Siwen, where does this come from? Li Chunfeng asked in surprise. Li Siwen teased the little baby in her arms and said, I went up the mountain to fight. 2 ends. I kept some at home, and some were given to relatives, and the rest were sold. This is the milk for you. Li Chuanfeng's eyes turned red when he heard this, and he went to the kitchen with the pig's leg. Li Siwen sat in the yard with Xiao Qiumei in her arms. She just happened to see the ant in the kitchen. She also took a large white pear, peeled it, and cut it into small pieces. She kept a few pieces for the ant in the kitchen and put the rest in. She fed Xiao Qiumei in the bowl. Qiumei is over 3 years old. Her teeth are almost grown, and she can eat by herself. Li Siwen fed Qiumei a pear, and the little girl ate it deliciously. Little aunt, where did Shichuan go? Did you go to school? Well, I think it's almost time to come back from school. As soon as Li Chunfeng finished speaking, a voice came from the gate, and a large number of children swarmed. Shiming and Shichuan ran over quickly, and when they saw the person sitting at the door of the house, Shiming shouted politely, Sister Siwen. Shichuan didn't remember this sister, but when he heard his elder brother's voice, he also called out, Sister Siwen. Oh, Shichuan, you still remember my sister. Li Siwen pinched his little face. If the memory is correct, this kid is only 5 years old. The last time we met was more than half a year ago. This kid still remembers things. You two quickly wash your hands and come over to eat big, white pears. Shiming and Shichuan were overjoyed when they heard the sound and ran to wash their hands excitedly. The two gathered around the bowl and ate small pears, but Yuan Shijia next door with his younger brother and sister swallowed. Mom, I also want to eat big white pears. Yuan Shibing said, pulling his mother's sleeve. When Luo Feng heard this, his face darkened and he scolded when he saw his son. Eat, eat, you know how to eat. I don't have the money to let you eat, so if you can, go to your aunt's house. Son, go. Wow, wow, wow. Yuan Shibing burst into tears after being scolded by her. Luo Feng suddenly got angry, picked up the broom, and hit him. Yuan Shibing was beaten a few times and cried even more. I'm going to eat pears, I'm going to eat pears, you're bad, you're not my mother, woohoo. I'm not your mother. Go to whomever you like. Luo Feng blushed and looked at the next room with jealousy. Like Li Chunfeng, her family came from the countryside. Her mother-in-law didn't look down on rural people, and every time her family came, she would bring good things for them, and every time her mother came, she cried poor, either this or that. Why did she suffer such a miserable life for such a mother? The more he thought about Luo Feng, the more aggrieved he felt, covering his face and crying. Li Chunfeng, who was cooking in the kitchen, heard the movement and ran out of the kitchen quickly, went into the house and looked at the 6 pears on the table. She took 2 and went to Luo Feng's house. Second sister-in-law, give this to Shibing and the others. Luo Feng looked at the 2 pears she brought and waved his hand to prevent his son from taking them. We don't want it. We don't need you to help us. Me. Li Chunfeng froze awkwardly, not knowing what to do for a while. Little aunt, if she doesn't want it, don't want it. There aren't many pears. You gave them Shiming what they would eat. Li Siwen followed, and she was instantly happy when she saw that the woman didn't want to. She wasn't used to these people. She loved to want don't want. Get out of here for me. Hurry up and don't come to my house. When Luo Feng was told this, his face suddenly became angry, and he felt that he had lost all face. He was about to drive a few people out with a broom. Li Siwen saw that the broom was about to hit the ant, and quickly caught the broom with one hand, and then pulled it. Luo Feng was staggered forward by a strong force, and fell directly to the ground. Li Chunfeng, what are you doing? Yuan Zhujie saw a group of people surrounding his house as soon as he got home from work. He rushed in and saw his daughter-in-law sitting on the ground crying, and his youngest son's eyes were full of tears. He immediately knew that it was his daughter-in-law who was in conflict with his younger brother and sister, and he looked at his third younger brother with a headache. What's the matter, Chunfeng? Yuan Julin looked at his daughter-in-law and asked, but he wouldn't believe that his daughter-in-law would hit the second sister-in-law, and the second sister-in-law must be messing around there again. Li Chunfeng saw the man coming back, looked at the second brother, and then at the second sister-in-law, not knowing what to say, but Li Siwen spoke directly. My uncle came to see my aunt and brought some meat and fruit. When their children saw it, they cried and wanted to eat, and then the aunt started to beat her children. My little aunt ran over to give this child pears to eat, and the old aunt scolded my little aunt for being so kind and wouldn't let her child eat it. Then I said she liked it or not, and she beat us with a broom. Li Siwen has never seen such a shameless woman, who owes her. Then she was going to beat my aunt. I pulled down the broom, and she sat on the ground crying. Yuan Julin looked at his second brother after hearing this. Second brother, this matter has nothing to do with us. We will go back. After saying this, Yuan Julin took his daughter-in-law and went home. Her second sister-in-law, like a serious illness, likes to misinterpret other people's good intentions. Li Chunfeng gave the 2 pears to Yuan Zhujie before he left. Second brother, wash and share it with the child. Yuan Zhujie looked at the pear in his hand with anger on his face, and looked at the woman on the ground. He shouted angrily, Don't get up quickly, you will lose my face. Yes, I have thrown them all away. I don't have 3 siblings, and I don't have a good family, but am I easy? I don't want to woo-woo-woo. Luo Feng covered his face and burst into tears. Seeing this, Yuan Zhujie hurriedly closed the door of the house, walked over to his daughter-in-law and hugged her in his arms. You have nothing to do with anything, no matter how bad your parents' family is. What does it have to do with you? You have to compare yourself with others. What we pass ours, good or bad, is ours. Get up quickly. Your mind is just too sensitive, and there is nothing malicious about it. You are her sister-in-law. If she dares to look down on you, I will let the third brother clean up her. Yuan Zhujie persuaded her for a long time before she stopped her. Here, Yuan Julin went back to the house to wash his hands, and Li Chunfeng brought a few bowls of meat and vegetables into the house. There was no steamed buns today, so she steamed a pot of noodles with noodles. It just so happened that the eldest niece came, but the downside is that the steamed buns are multigrain steamed buns, not a single white flour. Afraid that these steamed buns would not be enough, Li Chunfeng steamed another half pot of white rice, which he took from the grain brought by his niece. When the food was brought to the table, the children were very excited, looking at the dishes in the bowl with delight. "Mom, why do you still have meat?" Yuan Shichuan asked in surprise. Li Chunfeng's eyes were also full of smiles. "Your sister took it. Your sister is amazing. She killed 2 wild boars in one fell swoop and brought us a bag of pork when Mother dried it. We can do it every day."
Eat. Wow.
"I can eat it every day." Yuan Shichuan was so upset when he heard the music, he kept gulping. "Sister, if you come every day, will I be able to eat big white pears and meat and sugar every day?" Yuan Chuanxi turned to look at Li Siwen, who was beside him, and asked with wide eyes in anticipation. "Haha, you kid, you're thinking about good things. Where did your sister get so much money to buy you food, a greedy cat?" Yuan Julin said with a chuckle, "This kid just thinks of good things. If he really wants to let him live every day, if he eats like this, no amount of money will be enough for him." Li Siwen was also amused by his words, and looked at him with a smile. "Yes, as long as you study hard and listen to your mother, my sister will bring you delicious food every time she comes." Yuan Shichuan nodded after hearing this. "He can't come every day. It's not bad to bring delicious food next time." "Oh, it's really nice to have a sister. Okay, I like Sister Siwen the most, and it will definitely be better when I grow up." "Good for you. Then I'll wait for you to grow up and protect me," Li Siwen said with a smile, looking at his serious tone. "I will also protect Sister Siwen when I grow up." Yuan Shiming, who was beside him, also said, "Okay, just remember your sister's goodness. Let's eat quickly." Li Chunfeng was afraid that they would delay school for a while, so he hurriedly urged them to eat. When the two heard their mother's words, they grabbed a steamed bun and started eating. Li Siwen saw that their meal was different from theirs. They all ate multigrain steamed buns, but she had a large bowl of white rice. Immediately, my heart warmed. What a blessing the original owner was, and the whole family took good care of her. Now that she has replaced the original owner, enjoying this love, she will not let them down. "Shiming, you go to the kitchen and go to those 4 bowls," Li Siwen said while looking at her younger brother. Although Yuan Shiming didn't know what her sister's bowl was doing, she still went to the kitchen obediently. Li Siwen took over the rice bowl, divided the rice in front of her into 5 portions, and served a bowl to each of my sister-in-law. Li Chunfeng looked at her niece's movements and quickly stopped her. "Siwen, you can eat it by yourself. There are so many steamed buns, enough for me and your little uncle to eat." Li Siwen ignored her, insisted on putting a bowl of white rice in front of her, and gave the little uncle and the others a bowl. "If you want to eat, eat together. Don't do anything special," Li Siwen said sternly while sitting at the table. Li Chunfeng was really frightened by her niece's expression, mainly because her niece was too powerful and killed 2 wild boars with her bare hands. Luo Feng, just now she also saw the appearance of her, and was suddenly beaten by her niece and screamed. Her niece was frightened, to tell the truth. It was fine before, but this time she felt that the girl had changed a lot, and she didn't know whether it was for a long time or for other reasons. She felt that the niece was sitting there. Makes people in awe. Li Chunfeng only picked up the white rice and started eating under the majestic gaze of his niece. Yuan Julin didn't dare to eat it until he saw it. He didn't dare to grab the rice with his eldest niece without the order of his daughter-in-law. After the family finished eating, Li Chunfeng cut 2 catties of pork, took a few big white pears, and took his niece to the backyard, where the old man and Mrs. Yuan lived, and the elder brother and his family lived in the backyard with the old man. "Sister-in-law, have you eaten?" Li Chunfeng greeted Yi Chun, who was washing dishes as soon as he arrived in the backyard. Yi Chun raised his head when he heard the voice, and saw the 3rd younger brother and sister holding a piece of fat and thin pork belly, and suddenly smiled. "Yo, the 3rd younger sister is here, isn't it, Siwen? Come to see your aunt. Go, hurry up and sit in the house." Yichen shook off the water stains on the bowl and enthusiastically took the two people to the house. Mom, the third siblings are here to see you. When the old lady in the room heard this, there was a trace of disdain in her mouth. What is there to see in the same yard? What's the matter? What's the matter? Women in the country have a lot of things, and if they knew earlier, they would not let the old woman 3 married her. Mom, my mother asked my niece to bring me some meat, and I'll bring some to honor your old age. Li Chunfeng entered the house and gave the pork to his sister-in-law, and then took out the big, white pear in the cloth bag and net to wash it. Washed and gave to the old lady. The old lady looked at the meat in the hands of the eldest daughter-in-law with an unbelievable face, took the big white pear with satisfaction, and looked at the old lady Li Siwen with a kind smile. Siwen is here. Sit down quickly. Your grandma really has a heart. You go back and thank them for me and your master Yuan.